Michael. It's time. It's that time again. It's time for that podcast where all we do is talk about conferences and there are no questions and it's like a million hours long, except, it's not that.
That's not?
It's a regular Rage Select podcast.
I don't believe you.
Welcome back, everybody, to the regular Rage Select podcast here on Regular Rage Select. I'm Regular Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
Yeah, I eat a lot of grape nuts.
Am I regular Mike? I don't know.
Michael, I have Titanic news, by the way.
What is it?
Stupendous.
A boat sink?
Amazing, gigantic news that I'm pretty sure every single person listening to this podcast is going to gasp and drop their phone and collapse when they hear. So put your phone down, sit down, take a deep breath.
I've already done 2 of those things.
Okay, all right.
I can't breathe though.
I was talking to them. I know.
Oh.
I know what you're doing. I can see you. I was just telling all them. I don't want to be responsible for any cracked phones or shit. They're gonna be like, "You owe me $400." I'll be like, "What? Phones are expensive. Phones are expensive.
They're super expensive.
What happened to when you used to get a phone for nothing when you signed up, and now it's like, hey, it's $900. You can make us like 18 payments of $40. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, this phone here, when I bought it, was worth $1,000.
Yeah.
And by the time I finished it, it was worth like $300.
Fucking phone depreciated.
But I still paid for that much over time.
Bullshit. Anyway. I know they're just like, get on with it.
We're waiting.
I started watching something last night, Michael.
What's that?
Guess. Take a guess.
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
No. That would not be shocking if I told people I was watching The Marvelous
My
Mrs.
Little Pony.
Maisel. That would be shocking, but that's not the correct answer.
G.I. Joe versus My Little Pony.
No.
I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't know if that's a thing. So last week, I finally got a chance to see the My Hero Academia movie, and I was like, fuck, man, I want to watch some anime. And like I tried BNA on Netflix, but like I have this thing where I'm like, you know, guys, I think that Studio Trigger is a very talented group of artists, but I don't know that their like original writing is really like the best thing. Because like Promare was okay, but you know. Anyway, so I was like, all right, I need to watch some anime. I'm gonna go to Hulu, anime. I'm not watching The 7 Deadly Sins. That's on Netflix. I'm not watching fucking Assassination Classroom. I tried that already. I'm not watching this fucking Dragon Ball. Look at that. I'm going past that. D D F G H I J J. Oh. So I watched the first 3 episodes of the second volume of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stardust Crusaders, and so far the wackiness levels are high enough that I'm
super high.
I'm going to keep watching. I finally did what the people have been demanding for a long time, which is just like, don't watch the rest of the first volume that I got stuck on. That's
crazy because I love those first 2 volumes. The first 2 stories are great. For shame. Other people.
Well, no. The thing is that it was basically either this or I wasn't going to watch it because I got bored at the.
Wait,
second
so you
half
started Stardust Crusaders itself? Is what you're saying?
Yes.
All right.
I watched like 2/3 of the. I mean, I watched the entire first arc, and then I got into the second arc where they were in like New York or something like that.
So you didn't get past when he's like in Italy and all that stuff.
Yeah, I got bored, and I stopped
crazy.
watching.
That shit, I love the second part. The second part's great.
I don't know, but the third part, it started off with a bang. It's pretty wacky. The guy's mom is weird. I'm sure there's something about that later,
Holly?
but there's some really weird shit going on.
Are you watching in Japanese or?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Because I love it. I love the sheer amount of English that is in that show. All comes from Joseph Joestar.
I was a little disappointed the way Joseph Joestar is treating his mom. I'm just like, come on, man. Like,
Jotaro?
Be nicer to your mom, guy.
Jotaro's just is really weird because like it's clear he likes his mom, but he just keeps calling her a bitch.
Well, his mom is also incredibly inappropriate to like every person in the world. I'm like, what am I watching here?
She's a strange one, Holly.
Yeah,
she's nice, but she's a strange one.
I literally stopped in the middle of the second episode and went online and like looked for a statue of the main character because I was like, what the fuck is going on with this hat hair thing?
Oh, his hat hair?
Like, I have to see when they make this into a statue. Is it just one thing, or is it like the front of a hat and then they're just not drawing where it's cut in the middle because it's like it's bugging me? I'm just looking at it like,
I don't want to tell you.
Is the hat hair?
I don't want to tell you the answer to that question.
There is an answer?
There's an answer to that question.
Oh, Jesus.
It happens way later down the line.
Okay, great.
Technically. Because his hat gets blown off at one point.
If I stop watching, I'll ask you about it. Also, that My Hero Academia movie is fucking tits.
It's fucking awesome.
Like, go watch it when it comes out here. or you can get like a foreign Blu-ray, I guess. So, yeah, that's what I've been up to.
I'm actually legitimately shocked that you're watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
See?
I'm happy that you are.
See, I told you, sit down, don't hold your phone so perilously.
It turns out you just needed stands instead of Haman.
No, it turns out that what I needed was for, like, no new media to come out and for me to have consumed every other piece of media. And, like, just, like, it was, trust me, I was teetering on the edge between, like, this or watch My Hero Academia from season 1, episode 1 again.
That's fair, though. Those are both really good options.
You know what I think it was that the H-Bomber guy 2.5 hour like Why Ruby Sucks video. And I was like, man, I could go for some good anime right now. And he like listed off a bunch in his thing, and I'm like, I don't want to watch Gurren Lagann again. And
it's great, man.
I mean, yeah, it's great. It's just I've seen it like 100 times.
That's the reason I haven't watched Trigun again in like so long, because I watched it over and over again.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll let you guys know. I'm sure that this makes like a very like 4 people very happy, and like 20 people are like, oh yeah, I've heard of that, and then like the other 80% of Rage Select is like, this is fucking anime bullshit, man. Fuck that anime bullshit. I don't like that shit.
We should do a full playthrough of Eyes of Heaven.
You know what? I've bought most of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure games, and I don't think they've ever made it on the channel because I think they came out in weird places. I might have put like one.
You came out with one of them,
yeah,
which was the PS3 fighting game.
Yeah, but I own the PS4 one.
You have Eyes of Heaven?
Oh yeah,
and you just never played it?
You know, I actually even played it. It came out in one of those weird weeks where it was like something big came out, something big came out after that, something big came out after that, and like just kind of fucking.
I'd say we should do a full play of that, but you should finish part 3 before we do something like that.
Yeah. Well, Fight Crab is out, Michael.
That's true.
We got to play Fight Crab.
The thing about that game is that like it's all of the parts together. It's a whole thing. It's like one of those like multiversity type of thing. It's like a Spider-Verse more than anything.
Okay.
Kind of story.
What have you been up to?
That's a loaded question.
Oh.
Well, because we haven't really talked about what we've been up to in the last every other podcast, because we usually go straight into everything.
All right.
So I'm trying to remember what I was doing.
Well, you don't have to give us everything. Just
recently I started playing Gundam.
Yeah.
The new Maxi Extreme versus Maxi Boost on. I was trying to remember the full name of it.
Sure.
It's a really long title. It's exactly what I wanted the last Gundam Versus to be. It's like coming back home. It's just called Gundam Versus for the PS4. And it was a very watered down version of the Gundam Versus series, to the point where me and my friend Hilario, he's the one who introduced me to the series.
Yeah, because
I played it on PSP, and then we played the PS3 versions, and that's what we did like nonstop for years.
Mm.
So when the PS4 one came out, we were going to do the same thing, and we got bored like not even midway through playing it, and the net code sucked real bad, and it didn't have local multiplayer, so the only way to play with somebody is you had to do it online. And it just didn't work.
That all sounds like garbage.
Whereas this new one, it's like, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted the last one to be. It's got 120 suits.
All right.
Like a shit ton of missions.
Yeah.
It still has the same stuff. It's got the all-flying multiplayer. You can put your own music on it. So if I wanted to put the intro to Stardust Crusaders when I show up in the Shining Gundam, I can if I wanted to.
Oh, boy.
I love that shit.
This is the level of nerdery that I cannot follow you.
It's the fucking best. You can put like AC/DC or something on. Fuck it.
And does the person playing you online hear that?
I don't think they do.
Okay. Just to pump you up.
Yeah, because when we used to play it together, if we played like next to each other, we would just hear what music he had.
Sure.
Because you could do that on the PS3 ones too.
Mm.
Like he put some JoJo songs for one of his mobile suits that he liked using.
Okay.
It was the Double-O. I think he put it on it. It's great. I loved it.
Okay. That sounds good.
It's a lot of fun.
I mean, sounds better than getting all your PlayStation 4 data.
I'm also still watching Perry Mason.
I don't know. Okay. Yeah. All right. Is it still good?
I like it still. It's a super slow burn.
Okay.
Like just slow burn, but I like it still.
You know what?
He's a lawyer finally. So
I would like to take this opportunity to apologize to Michael in front of all of the world listening to this podcast that like you keep telling me this, and my brain just keeps going like. Yeah, like fucking. I didn't care about old Perry Mason, and then I think I even saw a trailer for this new one. And I was just like, I don't know what it is. I don't know why I'm so hostile towards the idea of Perry Mason.
I don't know, man.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
Show us where Perry Mason touched you. That's what you're saying.
I just didn't. You give me a new Murder She Wrote. I'm on top of that.
I'm
on top of that. But
make it. Let's listen to HBO.
Yeah.
Make Murder She Wrote, but gritty.
Yeah. Yeah. There. Do it.
Same way.
Super gritty. Jessica Fletcher. Wait, isn't Murder She Wrote isn't that Castle? Sort of.
Kind of, actually, yeah. So, are you saying Castle's the remake of Murder, She Wrote?
Do they just gender flip Jessica Fletcher and have Nathan Fillion play her?
I could see that. That could be a thing.
That'd be a little strange.
We'll just change Castle's name to Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
Sell twice as many copies.
Well, speaking of old shit that nobody cares about, let's talk about the Avengers. Because
mightiest Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah. Or they're solving. They're like mystery writers, and they also solve like fucking Avenger crimes or whatever.
Exactly.
We had the second Avengers War Table. I think this is I wanted to say that I think this is a testament to the power of marketing. That by the end of this, I was like 5% more excited than I was previously, which was like 5%.
Well, that's the thing.
So I'm like 10% now. Like,
before they did the last one, I also was in that same thing.
Yeah.
I was at 0, and then they're like, hey, here's maybe a thing. I got slightly excited for all of 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then this came out, and I was like, well, it's about the same excitement. Like, I'm finally interested again, but I'm not excited.
What I'm saying is that they need to do 18 more of these before the game comes out to get me all the way up to 100%.
They need to show off Spider-Man or something, and then I'll be super, super excited. And then Darkwing Duck or something. I don't know. Somebody's.
I feel like any video game could have Spider-Man in it, and it would just be very exciting to you.
It's true.
Like
most games I've played in my life involve Spider-Man in some way.
Also, you can be Spider-Man in the new Crash Bandicoot.
That's why I played Tony Hawk 2.
Anyway, they outlined basically what's going to be happening during the beta, which starts at the end of the week coming up.
That's
the
pretty
7th,
soon, yeah.
Which I don't know how the fuck Marvel thought that this Avengers bullshit was going to compete with the Fast and Furious Showdown, which also comes out on the 7th and is a big franchise based on a movie. I mean, come on.
Well, they got the actual actors for that, didn't they?
I think
for Fast and Furious.
I don't think I've ever heard Vin Diesel actually speak in any of the trailers for that game, but that I could just. He has a very low register. It could have just slipped underneath my consciousness.
They just got the audio from Guardians of the Galaxy and put it in there. We need you, Vin. I am Groot.
Yeah, this is mixed.
I don't remember his character's name.
Mixed it with it's Dominic Toretto.
Is it Dominic?
Dominic Toretto. You forgot Dominic Toretto?
I watched like 3 of the 7,000 whatevers they've made.
I don't remember anybody else's name, but I remember his name.
I never knew his name.
So the beta is going to be happening for this, and it's going to have 2 story missions, and then like 4 war zones, and like 2 battle zones, or
farm or whatever,
fucking pizza zones or whatever,
VR missions and such.
Yeah. So the story missions are going to be the beginning, which I'm a little mad about that because I'm like, man, I've seen this beginning part so many fucking times.
It's all they showed for like a year.
Yeah, like, oh, the bridge. And then the second one is going to be Banner and Kamala Khan like looking for an old Avengers hideout or something in the jungle.
Shield thing.
Yeah. So those are going to be the story missions, and they're going to have the battle zones, and then the war zones, and the battle zones are smaller. They have a danger room. It's called Harm.
Yeah,
but it's a fucking danger room.
Come on, guys. It's the danger room.
You know, Marvel's still pulling that shit where they need to try to erase the fact that mutants were ever a thing. I said it the previous time, and I will say it many more times, Michael. If the X-Men were in this game, I would be much more interested in this game.
Well, it's obvious they were working on this game prior to them buying X-Men.
Yeah.
Because, like, if they did, it would be all X-Men related.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's 2 story missions, and then there's these, like, war zones, which appear to just be, like, I don't know, just big, like, areas where you've got, just big fur balls, right? Big fights.
Yeah.
Where 4 people go in, and they just have big fights with a bunch of different things. In the thing, they said that war zones, when they launch the game, can last anywhere between 10 minutes and 2 hours, and I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to play.
It depends on the peoples, I guess.
Fucking 2-hour mission in a video game. Any video game. I want to have to be online for 2 hours. Apparently there's going to be 4 playable characters. It's going to be Iron Man and Ms. Marvel and Hulk and Black Widow.
Yeah.
There's going to be a bunch of cosmetics and a bunch of bullshit, and then there's like the danger room, and if you do all of that, you get like a cosmetic or a trophy or something that carries over to the main game.
You get like a title.
Yeah.
Some titles here and there that you can put on your character.
Yeah. I do like the idea that they have where it's like if you play in like single player, like if you customize your Hulk, then it's like your Hulk who is in there with you.
Which I think is great. I think that's really cool of them.
Yeah. For the most part, I'm still, you know what? It's so, like I keep saying this, so much of this game is going to depend on how does it feel when you put your hands on it, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Like the stuff that they're showing is not offensive. Like, I mean, it looks like a kind of a brawl and bash 'em up type of thing. I'm trying to think if there's been a third-person action online kind of this style. I know that there have been some like, there's been like a half dozen MMOs that were like, it's an MMO, but it's real-time combat, and you like play it with your friends, but I mean, like, they keep showing these, like, you know, these, like, team-up moves where, like, Kamala Khan grabs a guy and then throws him, and then Iron Man shoots him with a laser. And it's like, right, but am I going to have to, like, coordinate with some rando online to make that happen? Or is it going to just be, like, press a button to look real cool? And I don't know if I'm good with either one of those answers.
Well, that's the tough thing about games that are designed like that.
Yeah.
Very multiplayer-centered, is that either you know people that or you're going to play with that you can coordinate with correctly.
Right.
Or you're going to play with people you've never talked to before, and you're just going to both be flailing around, hoping the other one gets what you're trying to do at some point.
Right, right. I don't know. Again, it's just going to be. I mean, you know, there's some ways to get around that, right?
Yeah, no.
Like putting up like a quick time prompt or something. Like if the game sees that I'm doing a move that you can chain with on your system, having it be like, you know, like a fucking join up symbol, like with a button prompt on it that'll prompt you to actually like do the thing.
I'm sure it'll have something like that too.
The real question is just, you know, like there's just it is unclear whether to me this game is going to be any good or not. Mostly because, I mean, you know, we've seen some of the villains, but then we've seen also a lot of generic AIM dudes and robots.
Yeah.
Which it seems like it would be kind of fun to blow up. But if Destiny taught me anything, it's that fighting the same person over and over and over again with your friends, to me, is boring. Like, some people play that shit to this day, but like It
really depends on what you're doing, though, is the thing. It's like I was able to do that with Destiny, but that was only because I like talking to my friends at the same time,
right?
Kind of thing. Whereas if this game is like too focused on like very nuanced things, then I might not be able to focus on something like that as well. I guess if that makes sense.
No, it does. I don't know. To me, it's just the whole thing comes down to a question of how does it feel? I mean, like, you know, if it feels good, then again, it could be great. Like I want this game to be good. I don't.
Oh yeah.
I don't want it to be bad. It's just so far my confidence, like my fucking 20 years of like playing video games, my like I don't know alarm is going off pretty hard about just like, man, this could go either way. This could be dog shit, or it could be good, or it could be mediocre and just a thing that gets a fan base like Destiny where people play it all the time. And then the rest of us just go on with our lives and play Cyberpunk when it comes out.
The reason like those senses keep going off for me is that they didn't really show anything for a long time.
Yeah.
We saw the A-Day thing over and over and over again for a year.
Well, it was like they showed it as a trailer, and then they were like, now see the actual gameplay of it.
And it was like, this is the same thing. And then they were like, we have a new trailer, and it was just the A-Day thing again for a minute. And it's like, guys, come on.
Yeah.
Show literally anything else.
Yeah, I did notice, though, when I watched this, Michael, that I've finally gotten over the generic Kmart brand Avengers. We're far enough away from the movies that no longer is, like, setting off my Uncanny Valley alarm.
I'm still
like, that's not Robert Downey Jr.
I'm still bothered by the shield for Cap, though.
Okay.
Because the star looks so weird on it, the way they designed it.
Mm-hmm.
The star's, like, gigantic, and the circle lines are, like, really thin. It's very weird looking.
Okay. Yeah. They also showed the Hulkbuster armor, which is obviously some kind of like ultimate that you get, which seemed pretty cool. I don't know. Again, I guess we'll find out on the 7th. And then they also talked about the first character that's coming post-launch.
Yay, finally. The guy everyone asked for at E3 when they first showed the game.
I couldn't think of I'm just not really a big Hawkeye guy. Like, I'm just, you know.
It was the thing where they showed off all the movie guys except for Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, what the fuck, guys?
Right.
If you're going to go movie-wise, like, why did you leave Hawkeye out?
Yeah.
And then they got Cole from Infamous to play Hawkeye.
Right.
Because I don't know what the fuck they decided on that one.
Well, have you read, I mean, I've heard nothing but good stuff about the Matt Fraction Hawkeye book.
It's good. I never read the whole thing, but from what I read, it was really good.
Okay,
but he was very comedic in that. Is the thing.
This guy kind of reminds me of Hawkeye in the Ultimates.
Yeah, he definitely does.
But I don't really know. I don't know. Like, what Avengers do you want to see? Like, I keep thinking about the comics, and I don't really know. I was never really that big of an Avengers guy.
Well, Ant-Man is like a guy that, like, I know he popped up in a trailer here and there, but as just like Pym himself, that would be really cool. The same with a few of the other like post original Avenger teams kind of thing. I don't know. That's a tough one. Yeah, like you said, because when you look at Justice League and Avengers, you can name Justice League members all day, every day.
Yeah.
But when somebody tells you to name an Avenger, your first thoughts tend to be like way later down the line.
Yeah.
To the point where like most of those guys aren't really talked about all that much, I guess.
What about Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver?
That'd be kind of neat, I guess. But
Quicksilver seemed like, but I don't know. I feel like they're also going to be running into this problem that they have where it's like they show off the traversal and it's like, well, Iron Man can fly and Hulk can make these really big leaps. And then like Kamala Khan and Black Widow have like, one has ropey arms and the other one just has like ropes.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. I want to be the guy that flies. I want to be Vision, you know?
Yeah. Well, maybe Captain Marvel would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like in either version, either the male one or the female one would be really cool.
What about when Captain Marvel was like a weird, like sociopathic Kree dude that Rick Jones kept trying to like keep away from the Earth because he was like a murderer, like a weird, like psychopathic murderer?
Well, he mellowed out eventually, and then he got cancer, and that's how he died.
What about which one is the lady that was in Captain Marvel that's like her friend, and when she was Captain Marvel, she had like the big white. The big.
I don't know her name, but everyone talks about her.
Yeah,
because she was the the third Captain Marvel, I think.
I was trying to think of who else has been like in the Avengers.
Actually, no, the second Captain Marvel.
I'm such a DC guy that
that's
like,
the thing. Like I said,
I know a lot about the X-Men. I can name X-Men all day.
You can name Justice League characters for like an hour.
Yep.
Whereas if somebody was like, "Who else was in the Avengers?" and my first thought is like the new Avengers from Bendis' time, but that's like Iron. That's like all the people know as the Defenders now,
right?
For the most part,
and then it's like West Coast Avengers. You can do your Wonder Man and
Wonder Man's kind of neat, I guess.
Yeah, I don't
Black
know.
Panther. People like Black Panther.
Yep. He's gonna have ropes. Ropes to swing around.
He's gonna climb up.
I mean, I guess you could think of the movies, right? Doctor
I feel
Strange.
really bad for not knowing that many Avengers off the top of my head.
Was Strange an Avenger in the comics?
No.
Okay.
Well, he was eventually. Everybody was an Avenger eventually.
Well, that's true.
Except for Johnny Storm, as far as I can tell. Poor guy.
What about what was the team that was Hulk, Wolverine, Ghost Rider, and
the new Fantastic Four?
Was that the new Fantastic Four? That was an Avengers.
Yeah, because it was him and Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was the last one? That's like super dark Fantastic Four.
Because that's when they were missing for a while.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we need a Fantastic Four. And they're like, what about these crazy people? And they're like, yeah, sure, I guess.
I don't know. Write in the comments. Let us know what your favorite Avenger that everybody keeps forgetting is.
Is it D-Man? I bet you it's D-Man.
Because it's weird because I'm thinking about
See, Jarvis should be playable. But like not AI Jarvis, like just straight up the butler.
What's that one? Avengers Forever. Like I'm thinking of Avengers Forever had a lot of people in it, but then a lot of those were like Songbird after the the what was the thing where Zemo ran the Thunderbolts and then she actually reformed to be an Avenger at a certain point, and that was like both Yellow Jacket and Giant Man were in there because it was a time travel thing.
A lot of weird shit was going on back
Rick
then.
Jones and some fucking insanity.
Well, everyone we know as the Avengers, for the most part, is in this game.
Yeah,
except for like Ant-Man, Wasp, and like.
Wasp
Panther.
would be a good one.
She'd be great.
Wasp will get in there. I wish. I hope there's somebody behind fucking MODOK. Like I don't like the idea that MODOK is the ultimate evil in this.
They're like MODOK's the main villain. I'm like, cool, I guess.
And he's being run by Kang the Conqueror. Oh no!
See, I'd be cool with that.
Or the Supreme Intelligence is taking over his fucking big MODOK brain. All right. I don't know how to do a podcast anymore because we spent too much time on there. So that's the Avengers. We'll see how it goes. I mean, do you think you're going to do the beta? I'm going to do the beta, but
I'm debating even just getting it day one because I know you have to pre-order it to get the beta.
Yeah,
kind of thing, which I'm still debating.
I am too.
Because it's in what comes out in September.
The beta is all August,
which is crazy as shit.
Yeah, like it starts on the 7th for the PS4, and then the next week it's pre-orders on the Xbox and open on the PS4, and then the last week or the week after that, I think it goes like full for everybody: PC, Xbox One, and PS4, and then I think it comes out at the beginning of September, if I'm not mistaken.
It's like the 5th, I think.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. Speaking of big games that everybody's waiting on, let's talk about Cyberpunk for just a second. This is a weird public service announcement. So apparently, there have been people contacting like YouTubers and individuals and things, asking if they would like to take part in the Cyberpunk 2077 beta. And this week, CD Projekt Red had to come out and say there is no beta.
Yeah. What?
We will never contact you through like a third-party marketing place. Like we will contact you directly if we want to give you like a preview build or something to look at. So for any of you out there, I know how tempting it is where it's just like, hey, do you want to play Cyberpunk 2077? I just need to get your credit card number to validate your identity. And it's like, oh, God, I want to play it so much.
I feel bad for the YouTubers. Like, I finally made it.
Yeah.
So they finally contacted me.
Yep.
My mom's going to be so proud of me.
Like coincides with some gaming YouTuber who finally had a big viral hit with like 7 reasons why Ghost of Tsushima is worse than Sekiro. And then it's like, hey, do you want into the beta for Cyberpunk? It's like, I made it. And then they're like, oh, no, my money. My fight money.
These poor guys.
So yeah, do not just assume that you're not going to get to play Cyberpunk 2077 until it comes out. Like,
no one's that lucky.
Yeah, I would make that assumption. Unless you're like a fucking bona fide game journalist. If you're a bona fide game journalist, why are you listening to the Range Select podcast?
Also, odds are you did not fall for this.
Did you cheat? Are you cheating? Are you a game journalist? Listening to this podcast, are you cheating? Are you getting You're getting all your news from me and then regurgitating it. When I regurgitate my news from websites,
it's like a dirty cycle.
Oh boy, it's like the human centipede of gaming news over here.
Jesus.
Which is not to say this podcast is like pooping in your mouth. Anyway, Halo. Let's talk about Halo. Speaking of mouth pooping, let's talk about Halo. So. There's actually a bunch of weird things this week with Halo from last week.
Oh, really?
Apparently, the internet had some problems.
Yes, they did. Which caught me off guard, to be
Halo
honest.
footage. They were like, it looks like garbage. Which I was like, it looks like Halo. I mean,
no, it looks like Halo to me.
I mean, I guess you could say like this. I mean, I think I remarked it. I said it didn't look that much like a next gen game.
No, I think that's everyone's biggest issues with it, though.
Yeah,
because everybody expects like it to look like the greatest thing ever.
Yes,
although they keep screenshotting this one specific face of a brute.
Oh yeah,
and they're memeing the hell out of it.
Yes, yeah, I saw that. And apparently the build that we saw at the Xbox Presents or whatever it was an older build.
Oh yeah, that's what I heard too.
Apparently they've got they've done some stuff with it. Apparently they're tightening it up. Honestly though, I mean, like if you're one of the people that looked at the graphics, the visuals for that game, and you were like, I don't think it's going to get that much better. Like
probably not.
Like they probably stabilized some stuff, but I don't think you're going to be looking at a graphics overhaul. If the graphics were significantly different between what they showed and what the game's going to be, they wouldn't have showed what they showed.
Yeah.
They would have showed the good version.
Well, if it's open world, I think that's part of why it's the way it looks. Because when you do an open world, you have to scale back a lot of certain areas because you can't afford to make everything as detailed and such a wide scope.
Sure.
Kind of thing. It's like with even the Spider-Man PS4 game where people were able to they were able to hack the camera to see what the people on the boat looked like, and they were all like PS1 square polygon people kind of thing, because you got to cut your corners somewhere.
Sure.
In a giant open world kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's probably the same that's going to happen with Halo Infinite.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you had any more thoughts about Halo Infinite since last week?
Not really, other than I'm excited because I like Halo.
Okay.
And that's really much all I can say.
Well, I have something that's going to excite you even more, because this is not the only Halo story I have.
Go on.
Just for you, I have a whole bunch of Halo stories. So it actually turns out that Halo Infinite at one point would have been out even earlier than it's going to have come out. Like,
really?
It might have actually come out already, except that apparently after Halo 5's about the player reaction to Halo 5's campaign. They like scrapped everything they were doing and started over from scratch.
Yes.
So
5 is so bad.
As somebody who has no dog in the Halo fight, I was just like, this seems as stupid as the rest of this. Like,
it's worse though.
Yeah,
is the thing, because there's no you don't care about anybody other than like Master Chief, and that's it. Like I barely even knew any of the other characters' names besides Locke and Buck, and I forgot the other characters' names.
I can't tell you any of the characters' names. Cortana and Master Chief. That's all I know.
That's the thing. Like 5 was just such a giant fucking letdown.
Yeah,
and all of their promotional stuff like was completely just like not really anything in the game, and it was just bad.
Because if I'm not mistaken, didn't 5 kind of end on a cliffhanger with like the fucking the master, the elder race, the Reapers or whatever are awake again? And
no, the AIs took over.
Yeah,
but it was the thing was like when it ended, I was like, how do you write yourself out of something like this?
Yeah,
like the game is just like you run in and you shoot things to death. How do you fight AIs by shooting them? It's not really a thing.
I don't know. It's funny to think that this would have been like because I think there was also a rumor from somebody that saw a build of this that you're going to go to different worlds, that there's going to be different actual worlds to go to as opposed to just the Halo ring. The idea of like having a kind of globe-trotting adventure, a universe-trotting adventure where you're tracking down all the elder AIs and putting them down or whatever.
I'm looking at this article and I love this thing that the guy says. He says, I didn't play 5 because I didn't like 4, but I looked it up, the plot of 5, and then just went, oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's true, that fucking plot sucks.
I will take your word for it. But I don't know. Would you rather have a Halo game sooner or have a story that you liked more?
I'd rather have a story I liked more.
Okay.
Because there's a reason I went back and played all the Halos without any issues until I got to 5. Because I do like those plots quite a bit.
Even 4?
Yeah.
Doesn't 4 start up all the fucking AI Elder Race bullshit?
Well, no, because the actual thing, the AI thing was like a book thing originally, where it was like, well, if the AIs can only last so long because
they go crazy, and they become
crazy.
like murder machines, and this is great. Let's have them control the spaceships. This is a good idea, you guys.
Well,
like,
it's the thing where they take them out and they just sort of recycle them over time. It's just no one's ever had an AI long enough for that to happen anymore.
Yeah,
until Cortana was like with him the entire time, so they couldn't just do that.
Stupid fucking Master Chief, man! Yeah. Turn off your AI. Just take her out of your dumb armor and throw her on the ground.
But 4 is really good because it's more about the relationship between him and Cortana.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry. I know that people probably made this joke like 5 years ago, but like, isn't Cortana in Windows 10 all the time? Like, as the Siri is listening to you and doing stuff, and it's like,
well, she is still, I think. Yeah.
She is still, and it's like, and the whole thing is if the AI is on for life, is this their thing to try to get you to upgrade your system where they're just like, dude, your AI is going to fucking take over the world if you don't fucking buy a new computer.
Maybe, I don't know.
The new copy of Windows 11 on it.
They took her off of the Xbox One, so maybe that's what happened.
Oh, yeah, I forgot she was like Siri on the Xbox One, right?
Yeah, because I would say, because I have yours, and I would say, Cortana, turn on the thing, and the system's like, that's not a thing anymore. I was like, oh, man.
Let's see. We also I have more Halo news. I got a lot of Halo news because they did a bunch of interviews and stuff. There was a rumor that the multiplayer component for Halo Infinite was delayed, and that the game was going to ship with basically a single player, and then the multiplayer is going to be patched in later, kind of like Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, okay.
They came out and said like, no, we're not stupid. We're not going to ship a Halo game with no multiplayer attached to it.
That'd be a bad idea.
What are you guys, fucking nuts? Like, come on.
That's just an insane person thing.
Yeah. So anybody that wants the multiplayer, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. So let's see. From there, we had a few other things that were part of the Xbox showcase that we got some updates on. So Avowed was the Obsidian game that showed the arrow going all the way down underground that had the hands with the sword and everything. Apparently,
really good shot.
People have sussed out that Avowed is in the same world as Pillars of Eternity.
Oh, okay.
And then there's been some scuttlebutt that apparently the game is going to be like twice as big as Skyrim, but also like 3 times as dense as Skyrim. And I'm like, Okay.
That could go either way is the thing.
I think we briefly touched on this last week, but like I fully support the idea of people being like, oh, fuck, Bethesda's fallen down and then they rolled a 0 when they tried to get up and they fucking fell again and impaled their face on a rock. Like, somebody start making an Elder Scrolls game. Let's take this shit away from them immediately.
That's
like,
true, yeah.
It's going to be another 3 years before they put out Elder Scrolls 6. Like, get on it. Get in there. Take it away from them, you know?
It's a good time to come at them.
Yeah.
It really is. They keep fucking over a bunch of people. Right now, it's the best possible time for that kill strike, is all I'm saying.
Look at Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
Look at Outer Worlds. You know, waiting for years, and Outer Worlds is the best Fallout game I've ever played that isn't a Fallout game.
They shot them immediately on the starting line.
Yep. So, yeah, apparently there's some information out there about it. Like, there's going to be like a dynamic weather system that takes advantage of like the things that you're doing. It's supposed to be something like really important about Myst. Apparently, there's going to be like a huge character creator that has just like redonkulous amounts of detail that you can alter for your character before you make them.
People are going to make Keanu Reeves. I'm calling it now.
Almost immediately. Well, I don't even know. You've seen those things that have come up with like Geralt in the Cyberpunk universe and Triss in the Cyberpunk universe.
I'm not surprised, yeah.
It's just like, I don't understand why you people. I think they're just like artist renderings. I don't think they're actually like from the game or anything, are they?
I don't know. That's the thing. It's difficult to tell with some people.
I never bothered to look at it. The interesting thing about this will be that Obsidian is such a small company. It'll be interesting to see how they do with a Skyrim-sized, fully 3D game, right?
Yeah.
Like, Outer Worlds is impressive, but it's also kind of compact. Like,
it is. Yeah.
You can see where the expansive corners got cut off of that sandwich, you know, to make it like just.
Their budget wasn't as high though. Is the thing.
Yeah, true.
Didn't they get bought by
Microsoft?
So now they have the budget.
Yeah. And I'm sure that, I mean, it'll be interesting to see of the studios that Microsoft bought, how many are able to take advantage of this to be like, you know, because I feel like Obsidian, right? Like when they started, they were Black Isle,
something like
spin off of Black Isle, and all they did in the beginning, right, was like the sequels that nobody wanted to make, like New Vegas and Neverwinter Nights,
and everybody loved all of those things they did.
Yeah, and then they made Alpha Protocol, which I'm never going to play. I tried.
It was super detailed for some reason.
4 times to play that game.
The things you could do in it for some reason.
Yeah. I was super psyched for it, and then let's see, and then after, I guess New Vegas was the last thing that they made, and then that was what killed them because the whole like Metacritic thing. And then they kickstarted. They came back with Pillars of Eternity and I think Tyranny, and now it's like they put out.
And then South Park helped them out.
South Park, Grounded, or Outer Worlds, Grounded, Pillars of Eternity 2. So anyway, I actually think I think it's a great story. You know, for years I was notoriously like boo Obsidian.
Yeah, I used to hate Obsidian.
I do, and it was because I didn't like the games that they made. So, and I still don't like some of the games that they made.
It happens though.
In fact, I found out that the quote unquote story in Grounded that came out this week, you can beat it in like 20 minutes.
That's so weird.
It's just like solve this one puzzle, go to this one place, turn on this robot. That's all the story that we've written so far.
That's weird.
Yeah, like I did it. Like the video that came up before this podcast on Rage Select today, like Grant and I did that whole thing, and then we fucked around for like 20 more minutes afterwards. So
that's crazy.
Yep. Also, now here's one that I think that people are going to be are going to have some feelings about. There was a French guy on Twitter that leaked the entirety of the Xbox presentation before it happened, and he was right about everything. But on his leak, Fable had another word after it, or more specifically, it had 3 letters after it. Do you know what 3 letters those were?
Peter Molyneux Who Lives?
No, 3 letters.
Oh, letters.
Yes.
So PML.
No. MMO.
Oh.
So there's actually the same guy like came in to double down.
It had an M in
it. And basically said like that they think this Fable is going to be an MMO to like compete with like Final Fantasy 14 and Elder Scrolls Online and stuff like that. Yeah, so I like
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know enough about Fable to really say like if that's is that a good idea?
Well, the thing about Fable was very much like you write your own story kind of thing,
right?
But like, how does will that work in an MMO setting?
Everybody writes the same story, Michael. It's fine.
Just, it's
you still write it. It's just everybody else is around you writing it as well.
Yeah, I guess.
That sounds like a fucking terrible idea.
It sounds. I don't know. It depends on how it goes about what it's doing, but I don't know.
I don't really see the world as a place where MMOs still exist. Like I know that they're putting out that big overhaul for WoW, and like I got a friend who's into Elder Scrolls Online, but like, man, Elder Scrolls Online took a while to get spooled up, and even then, it had to be Elder Scrolls. Like, I don't know. I just don't. I mean, I guess Fable has a big enough following, but like, why in the world would you make it an MMO when it's such a story-driven experience?
That's true.
Like it just doesn't jive in my head. Like it doesn't make any sense.
I think it's a bad idea if that's what they are going for.
Yeah. I mean, now if they wanted to make it a Fable MOBA, that I'm on board with. Or a Fable Battle Royale game, I could get behind that too.
I could be cool with that. Just shoving meat into people, getting fatter. Get fatter.
Isn't that just the plot of Fat Princess?
I think it is, actually.
You have to bring the cake back to your fat princess and keep feeding her cake. That was a weird game.
It was.
Do you remember they had like a spin-off single player or like a Diablo style like adventure version of it?
She was also in PlayStation All-Stars.
Oh, yeah.
Because they ran out of characters that were their own for a bit there.
Kept trying to make Fat Princess a thing. Well, speaking of fat princesses, iJustine talked about how the next Xbox presentation is going to be in August. I'm just kidding. I just saw iJustine in my newsfeed, and I was like, we kept trying to have a beef with her back in the old days, and she never knew.
She doesn't know we exist.
She has no idea. I actually met her at RTX one
year.
Really? Yeah. I thought for a moment, about, like, Jason and I were both there, and I thought for a moment about just being like, she's going to be like, fucking hate you. We got beef, and you don't even know it. And then she's like, rage select, and walk away, and she'll be like, what the fuck was that?
Who the fuck was those guys? Who was that masked man?
Yeah, so we'll find out more about the Xbox apparently in August. No question, no right now specific date. I would assume towards the end / middle.
Something tells me that because they're going to do something and PlayStation's going to do something in August.
Yeah,
something tells me that the pre-orders are going to start popping up after these points.
I think that's what it is. Well, because the other thing is it's all but known at this point that Xbox also has that Lockhart configuration, the slightly like lower grade Series X. And I feel like they will have a thing where they show some new stuff.
It's full of barbecue.
Yes, and then they announce that is a Texas joke that nobody gets. Michael.
Nobody gets that joke.
Nobody understands
unless you're
that
from
joke.
Texas.
God damn it! Like if it was a Franklin's joke, people would probably get it who aren't from here, but nobody even knows what fucking Lockhart is.
Lockhart's full of great barbecue.
And now I want barbecue. Thanks a lot. But no, they're probably going to announce both of them, and they're probably going to have a price point, and they're probably going to have a pre-order date. And I think it's just a question. I'm pretty sure that by the end of they got to give us the ability to buy these motherfuckers soon, right? Like, there's not that many months. Well, I guess there's half the year is still. Is that? No.
This a little less than half the year.
A third of the year-ish is left. So,
and when they said holiday 2020, so holiday time tends to hit.
It's got to be out by Black Friday. It's got to be out by Black Friday to let people try to. Oh my God. What is Black Friday going to look like if we're still doing social distancing and masks?
Oh, God.
Is it going to be orderly? Is Black Friday going to be orderly, Michael?
I know they canceled, or not canceled, but they said they're finally going to be closed for all of the Thanksgiving days. Like Thanksgiving itself. Because
they're not going to open at like 9 p.m. on Thanksgiving so that everybody eats fucking shovels in turkey and then immediately goes to Black Friday.
Yeah, because that was the norm for the past, 3 or 4 years?
I fucking hate Black. I don't know. I don't buy shit on Black Friday. It's not worth it. Like
I did that last year. That's how I got my Resident Evil, Legend of Zelda, and Mario Rabbids.
I think you can get stuff on Cyber Monday pretty easily without having to go near the fucking rabid zombie demons that are outside.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, we probably gotta pick this up a little bit. Oh fuck, we gotta pick this a lot. There's a website called Super Data that does. They're like a what the fuck? They're like one of these
analysts,
data analysts. Yes, that's right. Who did basically a rundown on all of the live streams and then compared them to the viewership of E3 data from previous years, and apparently everybody is doing great.
So that's good.
Except for Ubisoft.
Those poor bastards. It's because they didn't have the big dance number that they always have every year.
That's true.
You should Tyler didn't pop out and be like, "Here's everybody twerking," and then it goes from there. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh no! Wait. No. Ubisoft did well. Who was it that didn't do well? It was shows too. The PC gaming show. Oh, that was the one. It wasn't Ubisoft. It was the PC gaming show.
That one makes sense though. No one actually cared about them to begin with.
When you're watching E3 and then they're like, in 30 minutes we're going to start the PC gaming show. You're just like, well, I'm already here.
That was really the only reason anybody did that.
I guess I could.
I never even watched them.
Yeah. Let's see. Changing gears from the Xbox, we also... Oh, nope. I'm sorry. I got my transitions all messed up. We also got news this week that apparently G4 is coming back for some reason.
My favorite thing is that I follow a lot of X people who worked on just G4 stuff in the past, and they're all like, what the fuck is happening?
I never watched G4 because, one, it was on cable, and two, by the time it was a thing, I was older, and I didn't have cable, so
it used to be Tech TV,
and
everybody liked it then, and then it became G4, and then they showed Cops over and over again in the morning every day.
Some kind of video game show.
No, it was just Cops. Video game show. and then eventually it was some video game stuff. Like it had
Adam Sessler and
it had X-Play, but that was even when Tech TV was a thing.
Okay,
Morgan Webb, Adam Sessler, Morgan Webb, who they themselves have gone to do different things. The Tack of the Show.
Yeah.
A lot of the people from Funhouse used to work on that show, apparently, at some point, as well as a bunch of other random people who are now giant YouTubers.
I mean, it seems like the sort of thing that could make a lot of money in the climate that we're in.
Depending on what they do with it, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know.
What is it that they're... Like, the thing is, no one knows what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
Like, they're just like, G4 is the thing again. And this one wrestler, I forget his name... I think it's Austin Creed or something. I can't remember. He's like
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
He's like desperately like tweeting all the time, going, "Give me a show, G4," and it's trending because everyone's like, "Why don't you give him a show?"
Hey, give me a show, G4.
Yeah.
Rage Select deserves a show.
I forgot his name. Is a wrestler, but he's like. It shows up in a lot of different things.
We'll even do that dumb thing from the montage of the Avengers thing where they showed a bunch of people reacting to like fucking you can buy microtransactions in Avengers, like, oh my god, and
all the transactions.
It's like, oh cool. I guess we should probably do trailer reactions because fucking people watch them. I don't know why people need to man. I'm already an old man, but I was well on my way to just like, why do you kids have to watch somebody else? Just have the reaction yourself, for fuck's sake. Oh, my God.
Some people like joy.
Yeah. It's like fucking Joe Rogan and his video game bullshit this week. Hey, if you got a problem if you have a problem but like not budgeting your life and you just play video games all the time, that's your fucking problem. That's not my fucking problem.
Also, Joe Rogan's a terrible person.
Yes. Apparently, there's some sort of questions here. About whether Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to come with a pack-in full version of PS4 Spider-Man Remastered. This is a question that came up based on a Game Informer article with some wording that was somewhat ambiguous. People are not entirely sure, and previously Insomniac has come out and said that they were going to have there was going to be its own thing.
Yeah,
I get the feeling if I had to put money on it, I get the feeling that there is like a $30 standalone and then like a $50 it comes with the Spider-Man version that you could buy. I wouldn't be
surprised based on everything they said about like, well, it's not going to be as long as the other one,
right?
It's like, so if it ends up not being long as the other one and they package it with a version of it that has the load times they kept saying it does,
yep,
that'd be cool.
I agree.
It also would give me an excuse to play Spider-Man on PS4 again.
I agree. But you know what? You could always delete your PlayStation account and then not back up your thing and lose all of your save games. I've been
playing those covers again. Here I come.
I've been playing the same level in Doom Eternal for 3 days now, and my PlayStation keeps crashing every time I beat one of the challenges on
Jesus.
it. So, yeah, that's great. Speaking of, okay, so this was the a little something for everybody. Spider-Man news for Michael.
Yes,
for both of us. Pretty sure that Injustice 3 might be happening pretty soon. Apparently, one of the writers for the Injustice
Tom
comic
Taylor?
is teasing that Injustice is coming back.
Is he, though?
Well, he tweeted a big I and a big N.
Yeah, but he also tweeted a big Z and a big S recently.
Okay.
This past couple days.
What does that mean?
No one knows.
Okay.
And he keeps tweeting also moments of Superman and Batman talking, like these comic panels, and no one fucking has any idea what's happening now.
Okay, well, here, in the past, the Injustice comic has always been a prequel to the game.
Yeah,
this is the font for Injustice.
It is the thing.
And we do know that Warner Brothers has a big thing in August.
That's true.
That they're doing
the fandom,
right? And I think Mortal Kombat with the Mortal Kombat probably has another DLC pack coming out, but with the what was the expansion?
Aftermath.
With Aftermath out, it would be the right time to announce an Injustice 3 for next-gen consoles.
I still don't know what he's doing is the thing. I'm really excited for whatever Tom Taylor's doing.
Yeah.
But it's very Superman-centric based on what his stuff he's coming out with it so far.
I'm just trying to figure out what he's trying to spell.
Maybe it's a different, maybe it's not in the order it's spelled in.
Yeah.
I know, because, he put INZS recently. The S just happened, I think, today.
There's no Z in Injustice.
There's not. That's the thing. But what if it spells something else? I don't know.
Unless it's Injustice Gods of the universe.
Maybe it's like Fighters. You don't know.
Yeah. But it's a throwback to 90s fighting games.
Exactly. Injustice Z's.
And then something for me, but it is also for you. Last week, we also got some information that apparently Hideo Kojima's been talking with Junji Ito again.
I was really excited when I heard about this.
Very happy. It seems more and more likely that Kojima wants to make a horror game.
I'm cool with it, though.
And I really want to see it.
He made a demo horror game and it scared the shit out of a bunch of people.
He made a demo horror game that is in the top 10 best horror games that have ever been created.
Exactly.
It's the fucking demo.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And
I'm
also,
all for it.
I still remember that second trailer with the fucking monsters in it that looked like Junji Ito advertisements with the big kind of faces in the hallway and shit like that. Or I could just be thinking of Silent Hill for the Room, or both.
It could be both. I know they're coming out with that Junji Ito Adult Swim thing eventually. I haven't heard
bad track record on animated Junji Ito.
It's true, but I haven't heard anything about it in a while, though.
I think I saw some videos about it online, but I didn't actually click on them and watch them. So I'm useless.
I'm looking forward to it, though.
Let's see. Speaking of horror, we got some Resident Evil Village news. Apparently, there was some kind of beta that happened with the Resident Evil Village, which, of course, then turned into a bunch of leaks, but nobody can verify them, so we don't know if they're real or not.
Oh, okay.
I didn't actually know this, but apparently it's already been announced that the current PSVR will work on the PlayStation 5.
Oh, that's nice.
And apparently, Village is going to have a VR mode, like RE7 did.
Like an actual proper one, or just the way RE7's works?
I think the way RE7's works.
I'm cool with that either way. By proper, I meant control stuff or whatever. But
I never actually played RE7 because it's too scary in VR.
I think it's just the game is normal.
Oh, did you not use the wands?
I don't know. I never played it either.
I thought you used the wands.
I don't know.
Anyway,
it's a good idea though.
That's good news. I mean,
werewolves and shit.
I still think that RE7 is probably the best VR game because it's I miss back when we were doing VR when it was here's that new Avengers game. Also, you could totally play it in VR if you want to. And here's new Call of Duty. Also, there's totally a VR mode. And then it became here's Ace Combat 7. And there's 4 missions that you can play in VR. And it was but to make the whole game.
Yeah. I think Resident Evil 7 is the biggest title that has VR that works really well in it.
You know what I really would have liked? I really would have loved to be able to play RE2 or RE3 in VR and just me a giant hovering behind them,
that would have been nice too,
right?
Yeah.
And you kind of be looking down on it. I always thought that there was totally a market for a Diablo style game where it's you're from the Diablo viewpoint but you're playing it in VR. You kind of look down on the little game field and it's you get your little guy running around because it looks like you're controlling a little. There was a racing game that I played. There was the old SNES racing games.
Oh, okay.
But you were in VR and it was just you were a big giant looking down at the track and kind of following your little thing around like a slot car.
That's kind of fun.
It was that was fun. Not everything has to. I hate this idea that if we don't give the person hands, They're just going to fucking freak out and leave and like not know what to do. So
I guess, yeah, I don't know. The VR can be really cool, especially nowadays, and they really should have more games like that.
I wish I could play just some straight up FPSs in VR. Like there was some kludges for the Oculus that I did where it's just like, hey, do you just want to play Half-Life 2 but in VR? And it was like, yeah, this is great because it's 3D. Yeah. Like, you know.
I think SOCOM was one of the first ones to do something like that.
I always thought you should put like BioShock in VR and just let me play it. You know, it'd be cool. Let's see. We're going to find out more about Resident Evil 8. Apparently, there's also going to be a Resident Evil Village thing in August.
Hooray.
So we're going to get at least another trailer happening at some point.
It's just Chris Redfield working out over and over again, looking you down.
Getting swole.
Yeah.
Getting super swole.
Just getting buff again.
Let's see. Strange things are happening this week. So Tell Me Why is that game that we saw at the Xbox conference from Don't Nod. Tell Me Why has done a very bizarre thing where the producers have spoiled the game themselves.
What?
Yeah, it's really strange because, okay, so here's the thing. I actually kind of appreciate this. If you go to the devs webpage, there's an FAQ for the game, and a lot of what the FAQ is talking about is like, was this character's relationship transphobic? And then you can get an answer which explains it. So I think it's interesting where it's like, if you have a sensitivity to, say, LGBT or trans issues, you can come here and get like a very direct answer to like, am I going to see somebody's parents being shitty to their child who is gay, and that's going to just make me be like, well, I didn't expect this today.
Yeah,
like, fuck my life, I suppose.
I guess that's fair.
Which, you know, because like when you play, you know, when you play Doom Eternal, it's not like you're going to be like, oh man, Doom guy's father was really abusive, and that's really just putting me in a bad. My own father was.
I was really liking Doom until the demon was like, "I'm disappointed in you, son."
Right.
And I was like, "Oh man."
Also, I want to make it very clear, my father was not abusive to me, but I kind of appreciate
it's
this
the example.
Yeah, but there's even a whole thing where they go to the ending, and it says, "Tell me why will feature multiple endings. Is it possible to have a bad ending?" And so there's an explanation of what the ending to the game is.
That's interesting.
And the article that I was reading about this thought that part of this might be because of the leaks on Last of Us 2 and then the assumption that Abby is trans.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then, like this whole thing. And that they were just like, we're just going to get all this shit out of the way. And if you want this information, it is there.
That's fair, though.
As opposed to people making assumptions or spreading misinformation. So
good for them.
See how it works out. Speaking of spreading misinformation, Star Citizen had a really interesting week. Apparently, the Star Citizen backers are a little testy.
Finally?
Because they have not gotten any updates in like 3 years. And so Star Citizen this week did what I consider to be the most Star Citizen thing of all time, where they announced a timeline for their new roadmap.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Really? Really?
They basically put up a series of bullet points for like what they want the roadmap to be moving forward in the future.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The fuck, guys?
I want to just remind everybody, this game made like $300 million in like backer money.
Yes.
And, like that's ridiculous. Like that is like less than most video games.
It's less than most movies nowadays.
Yeah. And
like that's the amount it took to make Endgame, I think.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. You know how many games we could have made for $300 million? You know how many space combat games a competent director could have made for?
Oh my God.
I mean, like the thing is that I don't think this is not the fucking Phantom console, right? This is not like they just spent the money on Lamborghinis and then left. I'm pretty sure they're still working on it. It's just like they have gotten into that thing where they decided to make the most expansive game that's ever been out, but unlike, say, like Elite Dangerous, they didn't just put out a smaller thing and then add on to it as time went on. They've just been promising us. I don't think there's any way that when Star Citizen comes out, it could ever do enough to make up for the time and the money.
Well, I think I read an interview like ages ago where they were talking to them. They're like, how did you get to this point? Because they were asking for more money because they were like short on money or something.
Yeah.
At one point, they're like, how did you guys get to this point? It's like, well, all the creative people kept adding new things to the idea, and no one was there to be like, okay, we need to finish this
right
first before we do anything else. And so they have too many cooks in the kitchen, but not like a head chef telling them to stop fucking around and do something.
Yep. So we'll see. Riot Games had a very strange controversy. Speaking of controversies last week. Hey, Michael, here's a bunch of shit you probably didn't know. Do you know what Neom is?
Is it like a pop-up restaurant?
No. It's a city that they're creating in Saudi Arabia. Mohammed bin Salman.
Oh, that thing?
Yeah, is like creating this futuristic, like, what's the thing they call it? It's like a tax-free zone or like an international
something like that.
Trade zone or whatever. It's supposed to be this like super advanced city built from the ground up. Like if it's a menial task, robots are supposed to do it. It's supposed to be completely renewable energy. Whole thing built from the ground up. $500 billion. Apparently they were looking to go into a partnership with Riot Games to sponsor League of Legends like European side of their tournaments. And then, like, people found out about it, and they were like, you guys know that Saudi Arabia, like, does some really fucking heinous shit.
They do.
Like, I mean, you know, this is not like me being racist. This is like, go look it up online.
No, it's all common knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, even if you just look at, like, what's it like to be gay, like, that's a problem. And then you go to the Khashoggi thing and all that stuff.
There's a whole thing.
So, apparently they released this information, and within a day, they rescinded it and said, we're dissolving this partnership and not taking any of the money and getting on with our lives. But this just reminds me of, like, didn't WrestleMania do something kind of similar to this? Where they were going to have it in, like, Dubai or something?
There's a bunch of gags about it for a while on memes. Or there was a lot of wrestling memes about it for a while there.
So, yeah, that was a weird story.
My brother was stationed in Saudi Arabia at one point.
Yeah.
He was in the Air Force. That's where he got the PS2 that I have now.
Oh.
That is, it's like a hacked one that you can play burn games on.
Oh, modded?
Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of international stuff, apparently Steam has made a change so that you can't just get on a VPN and buy Horizon Zero Dawn for $7 in Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
There was a problem with this, and they've made it now so that you have to use the currency of the country that you are checking out in.
Okay.
You can't buy something out of Poland with dollars. You have to have, like, whatever.
Bison money.
Yeah, whatever it is. I don't know. I should have picked. I actually know what some countries have as their currency.
It's the ruby.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which, you know, I'm cool with. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, I get using your VPN to, like, the game's available for $10 in another country. My VPN lets me go to that country. I'm going to buy Horizon Zero Dawn for $10. Score, right?
Yeah.
But also, it fucks it all up for the people that live in that country.
It absolutely does.
So, I wonder, can you buy foreign Steam cards? Because, like, when I bought that, like, Robot Wars game that we played out of Japan, and I had to buy like a $100 worth of yen.
You could do it technically, because that's how I used to do when I had a PlayStation account, a Japanese PlayStation account to play the Gundam games.
Yeah,
I had to get like I had to buy a PlayStation credit.
Yeah,
in like from like the card from them
from PlayAsia.com
to buy something.
Yes.
I can't remember what it was that I ended up using for. I think it was a DLC of some kind.
Okay. Oh my God, weird. All right. It's time for the lightning round. Are you ready?
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Crack-a-boom. Sekiro is getting DLC. Apparently, Sekiro is getting a boss rush mode, some cosmetic DLC that's all going to be free that's coming up pretty soon. I remember reading this article and being like, oh, is it going to get an easier mode? And they were like, no. And I was like, okay, well, then you can fuck off. That's happening. Speaking of games that can fuck the fuck off, Red Dead Online is getting a new character class, the Naturalist, who just like you have to protect animals from like a mustache twirling poacher.
Yeah,
this
apparently
is not going to make me play Red Dead Online.
I forgot Red Dead Online was a thing until you showed me this.
If you asked me if I wanted to play a whole game of this, I would say no. I don't want to protect animals from poachers. It's just not what I'm allowed in a video game.
I would if I was just outright Captain Planet.
Yeah.
Like full on superpowers in the Old West.
I don't know. It's a very strange character class. There's like a bounty hunter and then like there's a few other ones that you get in there, and then it's like the Naturalist, which I guess this will make all the fucking clowns happy. Recently,
sure.
A bunch of people in Red Dead Online dressed up like clowns and did a variety of different things to shame Rockstar for not putting any like thing in their game. So
that
here,
makes sense.
Hug a tiger. Be the Tiger King. Anthem showed off some concept art for new characters. These are like pirates, which were not in the original game.
Yeah, they definitely were not.
And there was even one that showed their hideout, which is like a giant skull mountain.
That's kind of cool looking
stuff. Yeah.
If only this game existed.
Well, apparently they're still working on it. I mean, that's BioWare Austin, right?
Yeah, they threw it all on BioWare Austin, and good luck with that.
What a fucking piece of shit! Like, here we crapped this game out. Now you guys could spend the next 8 years fixing it. I still think Anthem has good bones. It just needs work. Like,
but they that's all they did was they made the skeleton, and they were like, "This is a game."
Yeah. So there's some interesting little just kind of concept art shots online. But that's the problem with this is that the game is so fucking broken that they have to like scrap 60% of it and start over.
They really do.
You know?
It's a shame.
Speaking of dumb BioWare shit, this is actually some dumb Ubisoft shit. Mike Laidlaw, who was the creative director on Dragon Age, apparently at one time was set to make a King Arthur game for Ubisoft.
Interesting.
But remember last week when we talked about that Surge guy that was a piece of shit who also just didn't like anything that wasn't like systemic. Apparently he just was like, well, what is the quote that they said? It wanted to be a big budget adventure with Knights of the Round Table made by Ubisoft, created by the guy that made Dragon Age. And he said that the only way that they would make it was if it was, quote, better than Tolkien. So they brought him the whole project, and he was like, no. And they were like, what if we set it in the future? And he was like, no. And they were like, what if we set it? What was the other thing they wanted? It was like the future and then like one other setting and steampunk. And he was like, no. And apparently people who worked at Ubisoft were like, I've never seen a project from like an established person who made a good game be put through the ringer this hard, and eventually he just fucking left.
Yeah,
because the guy wouldn't fucking let him do it. Like,
it makes sense. Yeah, at that point you're like, well, then I'm just gonna go.
Right?
Why did you even bring me in here?
Right.
Kind of thing.
And this goes back to the last week's story about how I'm starting to wonder whether this guy is the whole problem with Ubisoft. And like now that he's gone, if like within the next 3 years, it's going to be like, I fucking love Ubisoft again. Like,
I'd be cool with that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it turns out there was a crazy person in charge of Ubisoft this whole time.
It would just be so weird that like Yves Guillemot's like college roommate has been fucking us gamers for the last decade when it comes to Ubisoft games.
It's really strange.
And now he's gone. It is strange, Michael, but it is not as strange as Konami's new product. Do you know what Konami's new product is?
Is it a pachinko machine?
It is not a pachinko machine.
Oh, then I'm stumped.
It is a physical product. Do you take one guess?
Pachinko machine.
Konami is going to be making PCs.
What?
Konami started a division called Ares Spear that is going to be making PCs.
Isn't that the name of a comedian?
I don't know. They look like dog shit. They look like somebody said they look like an explosion went off inside of a Mac.
It does look like that, actually.
And they're really expensive. They start at the yen equivalent is of $1,760 for a Core i5 Intel machine.
That's awful.
And they go all the way up to $3,228 for like an i9, I think. And it's like, dude, what the fuck?
That was the name of a Mad TV comedian.
Aries Spears. There you go. Well, this is like...
He's going to sue somebody.
Yeah. So... What the fuck? Konami, do you need somebody to help you? Is this like...
See, the pachinko machine would have made more sense.
Oh, my God. What if Konami hired Kanye and then they let him do whatever he wanted to and then they renamed the company to Kanyami?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't even want to know what that would be.
It wouldn't be any worse than what they're doing right now.
Yeah, that's true.
But I do have a good hardware story for you, and that is that the Analog Pocket is going to be accepting pre-orders on August 3rd. This comes from a company that makes this really super high-end boutique like SNES and NES like consoles that don't just do emulation, like they download the ROM and then like create a whole virtual environment so it's running like as pixel perfect as humanly possible.
That's amazing.
And this is a Game Boy version, which is going to do Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. Now this bad boy is $200.
Oh wow!
And the dock is $100 if you want it, but it also has the ability, if you have the dock, to plug it into a TV via HDMI, like a Switch, and play Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color and Game Boy games on the TV with a Bluetooth controller. It is a really stunningly good-looking piece of hardware.
It does. It does look really nice.
And apparently, from everything I've seen, these guys have a track record of making very, very, very good hardware. So this is, the name of the company is Analog, and they're going to be accepting pre-orders for this Game Boy pretty soon. And it looks great.
Looks fantastic.
Let's see. We're going to skip a lot of the trailers. There was this trailer for Mobile Suit Gundam Extreme versus Maxi Boost on. Michael already said he liked it.
I love it.
I haven't played it yet.
It's good.
But you'll be able to see a video for this probably tomorrow. The Medium got a 4-minute trailer that was interesting and actually made me excited for the Medium.
Yeah.
First off, there's apparently a whole thing where you play the game and it's literally split screen, showing like the real world on one side and the spirit world on the other side. And then it will expand the screen to be like more from one side and more from the other.
I like that it did actually turn out to be a gameplay mechanic and not just something in the trailer.
Yeah. And then also there was a point where they talk about spirit blasting ghosts, and as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, all right, Bloober team, as long as I don't have to run away from them, it's fine.
Yeah. I'm cool with this.
Yeah,
I like the idea of it. I like the art's design a lot.
I'm wondering if so I said in Philadelphia, where I'm watching the two sides of the screen, I'm like, where do I put my eyes again? Because it's very strange. It's a very interesting concept.
Yeah.
I hope that it turns out well. And last but not least, we got a stop animated trailer for Cuphead. I know you're asking why, but you already know the answer because it's been like 5 days. And it's because Cuphead is now on the PS4.
Yes.
You can buy Cuphead on the PS4 right now.
It's now on everything, so you Microsoft guys can finally stop.
Well, the Steam is getting Horizon Zero Dawn, and eventually it's just going to be one beige console that
I'm cool with this,
plays
though.
everything. Made by those analog guys, so just cartridge slots and all kinds of shit all over it.
I'm cool with this. I, for one, welcome our new gaming overlords.
Man, how much would you pay for a console that played everything up to and including PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360?
Like $1,000.
Yeah.
Like minimum.
Like everything, like all Game Boy, Dreamcast, PlayStation 1 through 3, Xbox 360, Dreamcast and Saturn, Mega Drive, Sega CD, NES, Super NES, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. I guess you couldn't put DS on there because that wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work very well, no.
But
you could, but it wouldn't work very well.
I think I would, if it was a quality product. I'm with you. I think I would pay $1,000.
I would pay a shit ton for something like that. If it played all of those things with any fucking issues with whatsoever, I would buy it so fast.
Like up to 4K scaling, type of thing.
Like I spend so much money on just like dumb random shit to make my Super Nintendo stay alive.
Right.
Let alone like the idea of being able to play a bunch of games that I would love to play again easily.
Yeah. Okay. God. Neo 2 DLC is out today. You can play
Hooray.
it. Call of Duty's name got leaked by Doritos.
Of course it did.
There's a Doritos thing on the thing with it, like that started with like 2x XP for a year, and it had the name of the game. So it's Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
That's the most Call of Duty fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
It only could have been It only could have been better if Mountain Dew also released something else.
Right.
That was a leak.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Persona 5 Scramble has a Western release, or Persona 5 Scramble Phantom Strikers has a Western release date that is going to be in the final quarter of this year. So that means anytime between December and March 31st of 2021 as the fiscal year 2020. So it's already out in Japan, came out in Japan in February.
Oh, okay.
It's just a question. It was always a question of whether it was going to come out here. Speaking of fives, Metal Gear Solid 5 players, apparently, this week actually legitimately got the no nuke ending on the PS3.
Oh my god, like the actual ending?
They actually managed to do it. Now, we've already seen this on the PC because...
They modded the shit out of it.
No, it's an accident. They accidentally triggered it with an update that didn't refresh the number, so the number went down to 0. And apparently this only happened for a few minutes, and then 40 more nukes came back online.
That sounds right.
But the PS3 online space is so small that people got the full nuclear disarmament cutscene.
That's nice
on the PlayStation 3.
They came together and made it last for 10 minutes.
Yep.
It's a really interesting cutscene, by the way, if anyone hasn't seen it yet.
It is. It's very strange. In further Kojima news, apparently with the release of some modding tools, people have been able to spin the camera around in Death Stranding while Norman Reedus is in the shower to see what he keeps putting his hands over, and it's nothing. There is no dong in Death Stranding.
That's fine, though, because we all know what happened with Beyond, what it was, Two Souls or whatever?
Yes.
And then that was a whole clusterfuck.
Yes. I'm kind of surprised that there isn't a dong that came from Kojima and his, like, I don't know, his just weird.
Maybe it was an agreement with Reedus. I don't know. You never know.
I mean, like, people would know, right? That if they saw a dong, that's not like Norman Reedus's, I guess. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true. People would not understand that.
No, they don't.
And last but not least, if you've been looking for a new place to play Doom, you can do it in Minecraft now.
That sounds right.
There's a mod in Minecraft where you can literally order computers from a satellite that get shot down to you, and then you can put them together, and then you can play Doom on them. So if you want to launch a video game and then mod it, you can play a second video game inside of that first video game.
You know your computer's great when it plays Doom. That's
true.
just what it is.
Well, you know your refrigerator's good when it plays Doom.
Exactly.
You know what's better than Doom is questions, and we are going to answer them in just a minute. So everybody stick around, and we'll see you directly. Michael, it is time after, I believe it's been almost a month.
It's been a while.
To answer some questions. So we're going to try to get through a bunch of questions today. Our first one comes in from JP. JP says, greetings, Jeff and Michael. I've got some amazing hypothetical news. Rage Select the game has been greenlit. Disclaimer, it hasn't. This is a hypothetical scenario. How would this look? Who would be involved? Would Puppet Jeff be the main protagonist and Human Jeff be the main antagonist, or vice versa? Would they be a team like Joel and Ellie? How would the co-hosts and the various Rage Select characters fit in? Unfortunately, the shareholders or whatever have insisted that nobody can voice themselves, so who would voice everybody? Sorry for the odd set of questions, but something gets stuck in my head, and sorry if I got your hopes up about a game being greenlit. It hasn't, just so we're clear. If I knew the first thing about developing games, I'd totally do it with your blessing, of course. Keep up the good work, and that's from JP.
Jeff would be Nolan North, only because I think it would make him annoyed.
Hey, man, you know me. I'd be like, I can't tell who the fuck is voicing me. I just like, who is this? I don't know.
It's Tony Stark or whatever.
You know who I want to voice me? I want Cam Clark to voice me.
Okay. That's fair.
Jason Murphy.
He's got to do it as Liquid.
Oh, yeah. Would it be like Cam Clark as Jeff and David Hayter as Jason Murphy?
I'd be cool with this.
That'd be pretty amazing. You know what? I think what I would like to, if I was going to make Rage Select the game, I think what I'd like it to be is I would like it to be like actually just take the history of Rage Select and then like dramatize everything.
Oh, okay.
Like maybe do like make it like like No Straight Roads or whatever.
Okay.
Or I don't think that's the one I'm actually thinking of, but like make it so that it's like, you know, the problem is like, how do we start a website? But then it's like like a JRPG. I want to be like 8 different genres, obviously, you know. Just kind of go down the list of the different eras of Rage Select. I mean, you know, there have been a lot of different things that have happened over the course of Rage Select.
A lot of different characters, all kinds of weird shit.
I mean, it took us like 2 months when we started to even have puppets doing anything, and that was a whole fucking thing. And then, you know, there's the various eras of Rage Select that are the different chapters. And then the final chapter is when we get bought out, and then I just fucking leave. And I'm like, good, you bought it. Here it is.
The end.
Bye.
It's the DLC.
Then I buy a space station and just go live there. I want Kerbal Space Program inside of the game, though.
That's the final part. I make a spaceship for Jeff to leave it.
That's right. And you just straight up, like not even like branded. I just want to straight up just Kerbal Space Program.
Just Kerbal Jeff.
Actually, you know what'd be really funny is like I feel like over the course of Rage Select, there have been eras where, you know, we've been like obsessed with different games that have come out. So it'd be funny to have like different eras of Rage Select like represented by different game, like different types of games, so that like there's an era of rage select that is represented by like Metal Gear, and there's a rage there's the Resident Evil times, and
Souls
whatever
one,
and then and then it's like an open world game, but the open world part is all Dark Souls rules the whole time.
Jeez.
And then there's going to be like the horrible grinding part where you've got for 5 years to write a clever description for every single thing that you put out.
It's difficult,
for
guys.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of videos. I even write them for the Patreon videos, and I'm pretty sure nobody reads the descriptions on the Patreon videos because they know what they are. Somebody's
there.
There's some boss fights in the fundraisers that we had to do. The shirts. That's like a whole mini game that you could do. I'd like it to be like a simulation of running a YouTube channel. But then like there's the canonical rage select way where we make like a very small amount of money and then at one point there's like a video editing mini game that just completely veers off where you're like half your time is not even playing a game. You've got to just do a side job to make money. And
there's also what I think it will have is romance options. Specifically, like, but instead of like romance, it's you convincing them to come onto the channel.
Oh yeah.
Except you can also make out with Matt Frank because that's just a given kind of thing. But for the most part, you have to convince them to record every week.
It's the only non-creepy romance option.
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to gamify everything and then like boost it up by 50%, and then make there be machine guns and stuff. I think it'd work. I remember we played that. It was like Sarah and I played like YouTuber Life or something.
Yeah,
like
something
a million years ago, where you had to like pretend to be a YouTuber, and it was just like we're already more popular in this YouTube game about being a YouTuber than Rage Select ever has been.
It happens.
I don't know though; it'd be hard because the problem is, there's a lot of behind the scenes that nobody knows about Rage Select. And some of that stuff ekes out onto the air, but then there's a lot of my life that happens off of this and not in front of a microphone. And
there's the old E-Hollywood true story side of Rage Select people don't know about. Is that what it's called? E-Hollywood story? Is it VH1? No, yeah.
It's E-Hollywood story. Behind the music.
Yeah, it's E-Hollywood true Hollywood story, and then VH1 behind the music.
Yeah. Well, what would you do if you had to make a Rage Select game?
It would be an RPG that involves like the idea of getting the band back together idea.
Okay.
Except you're actually just getting like the rage people, and each one is like a different type of person.
When you consider the roster that we've had, like it actually would make a pretty good JRPG because it's like, I'm not trying to say anything here, but I'd be the protagonist, right? Then you have some characters that leave, and you could have some characters that like quote unquote die, in a dramatic thing. You could make the whole thing into like a medieval JRPG.
You really could, very easily.
Except instead of going to battle school, we're trying to like make build a kingdom, like Dark Cloud style.
I think so, yeah. It would kind of work that way, yeah.
And then you have to like recruit different people. And then I guess if we did that, then we could have like different people potentially that would never have been on Rage Select.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
We could put in there where it was like, I managed to get Ninja before he was popular, and now he's not popular at all because he's part of Rage Select.
And then he died.
Yeah.
Horribly. When he saw a thing that gave him his other life, and he got traumatized and jumped out a window.
He had a psychotic meltdown, turned into a boss, turned into a villain.
I could have been famous, he yells at the top of his lungs.
I'm like,
as you shoot him.
You can still be famous. I'm not stopping you. You can do whatever you want to.
And then he does a Fortnite dance and then dies.
Yeah. No, I think it could work. I think there's a lot of different ways you could do it.
There's a lot of cool little things you could do. Oh, you could make a beat 'em up. Rage Select beat 'em up.
Sure.
I'd play the shit out of that.
Yeah. Just River City Ransom.
You don't even have to get voices for it.
Yep. Just barf every time you barf when you hit somebody. Yeah. No. Any genre.
There's a lot of cool genres.
My life is dull enough that it could be metaphorically turned into anything at this point.
Probably not an RTS, though. I don't see us working as an RTS person.
No, I do. You got to put together the Rage Select army to go like fight iJustine and PewDiePie and like all the other YouTubers.
Okay,
right?
maybe
like,
then, yeah.
There's like different factions of YouTubers where you've got like the beauty YouTubers and the
take them down.
Yeah, like IGN. Like, you're like trying to, and in between there's like really poor video animated cutscenes of all of us in front of a green screen. Like, hello, Commander. Today iJustine is moving on our west flank, and we're going to need you.
Yeah, take her down.
Yeah. And then you would build little like Lorettas and Loco Steves and then like send them out to kill stuff.
Okay, yeah, I'd play that.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
See, it works for everything. Yeah, but mostly a dating sim. Mostly a dating sim.
It's all trying to get into Matt Frank's Godzillas.
That's right. Let's see. Sam writes in and says, Dear Jeff and Michael, as you've no doubt seen, there's been a lot of discussion lately surrounding the lengths to AAA games and what can be done to minimize this while still retaining the same quality the community has come to expect. By the way, I should say, so many of these questions I'm taking are from a ways back. So, like, I think this was when they had wasn't there like a thing where one of like Sony guy was like, games are too long now?
You're talking about Schreier?
It wasn't Schreier. It was like an ex-SOE guy or something.
Okay.
That in an interview.
I would be surprised.
Anyway.
We've said it before.
Yeah. While things like a story's length and the size of the world seem like a big part of the problem, one key issue I have are for the need to fill the game with hundreds of simple, non-impactful quests while only offering out a handful of original and thought-provoking ones. It doesn't help that things like enemy camps, towers, and collecting artifacts have become just as cliche and barely evolved over the last few years. While I'm excited to play games like Cyberpunk 2077, Horizon 2, and Watch Dogs 3, I fear that the next generation is going to play too similar to the last. Love to hear your thoughts on how we can move forward, and I hope you're all safe and well. And that's from Sam from the UK. Well, my default answer for this is always density.
No.
I would Hitman's levels are like so great because there's just like, it's like going to a place, but then you can go into everywhere, right? You can
so
go into like
things.
people's rooms, and here's the thing: here's a cafe. You go into the cafe. What's in the back of the cafe? Oh, it's a closet. What's in the closet? Rat poison. Oh, I can use that. But you didn't ever had to go in there. You can always just go place to place. Like when you go to Sapienza, and it's like you've got the mob house, which would be but then you've got like there's like a cafe across the street where there's a psychologist that you can get. There's like the guy that's late for work that you could take his clothes. But then like underneath the house, there's like a biotech lab that then leads back out onto a beach that's by a church that has a catacomb underneath it that literally has Mario and Luigi as plumbers like repairing something in the sewer.
Huh.
And there's like a mausoleum on the coast, and it's just like it goes on and on and on and on and on. And those levels are so great because you can run from one side to the other in like 5 minutes, but every building is a building and not just like a storefront. Like I would love to see a Grand Theft Auto game that was an eighth the size of a current Grand Theft Auto game. I mean, you think about like Red Dead 2 and all the buildings that were there, but it's like, well, here's the gun shop, here's the general store, like here's a bar, but there's nothing. They all have the same function, right?
For the most part. There's like one or two buildings that may be something else, but even then it's just like the theater and like
or like there's some that have side quests, is like the that one guy that's holding the guy prisoner in his basement.
Oh yeah.
Dressed him up to look like his kid or something like that.
That was the whole thing.
That's the whole thing. But I would rather have games be, I don't know. I think that there is a maybe this is the best way to describe it. There are a lot of games out there, and one of the things that I don't really like about them, about this large game style, is that it's like they need hashtag content, right?
Yeah.
And like it doesn't matter what the content is. Like Ghost of Tsushima, I got everything in, but like fuck's sake, man, the like Mongol artifacts and shit. It was just collectibles. It was nothing, and I went and got all of them. And when I got all of them, I got nothing. I mean, like, some of the stuff in that game was like, oh, you go to the Fox Shrines, you're going to get charms that make you more powerful.
Yeah.
But then there's also just like, here's a new sheath for your sword. And I was like, well, it's
cool, I guess.
It's great.
Question mark?
It's ugly and I don't like it. It doesn't match my outfit and I'm not going to put it on. So I think that, I don't know. I think that if you look at it, that it's just a matter of like, what is the value of doing the thing in the game? Like going to a place and clicking a button to do a thing, even liberating like an outpost, right? Yeah. Like anybody that's played a Far Cry game, they know that by the time you get to the end of that game, like at the beginning of Far Cry, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna snipe the alarm boxes, and I'm gonna take out some of the guys on the edges. And you okay? I'm going to take out some of the guys on the edges, and then I'm going to like sneak in. I'm not going to set off the alarm, and I'm going to kill these guys, and I'm going to, take it all down with 0 alarms. And then by the end of the game, you're like, okay, I've got a rocket launcher and an M60, and like I'm just going to walk up to the front of this place and be like, fucking, all right, here we go. Like, because I don't care, because
even before that point, I was still that guy.
Yeah.
Even when I just had a machine gun, a pistol, and a bow, I was like, well, here we go.
Yeah. I don't know. Like there's a point where it becomes, I think a lot of it is because it just feels so copy and pasted. Like there's nothing different between the different outposts, and so they all just end up being the same thing. It's why I don't like Assassin's Creed as much anymore. It feels like liberating camps and whatnot is always just the same thing.
That's the issue with a lot of those, because they'll add, like you said, hashtag content, because they'll just add stuff to do, but they tend to be the same thing, but like the map is like slightly different.
Yeah.
Or there's like maybe 4 more enemy types than the other one had.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Like the thing that I think they should do is focus more on the side content when they, but not like story wise, but whether or not it seems fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like really design these areas to be something cool and unique, instead of just like generic ass base number 5. I think, because from then you can have more dense stuff. And you can have like bases that you could be like, that looks like it's going to be fucking rad, because all the crazy shit you can do in it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And even like in the stuff you can get out of it, because that's the other thing. A lot of those other outposts and liberating things, they tend to be like, thank you, random person, and then they give you like $1, and you're just like, well, what the fuck was the point of this kind of thing?
Right.
Or they're challenges that you're just like, I fucking hate everything that's going on, kind of thing. Like I love Spider-Man PS4, but the second Screwball's like, I want you to do this thing, you're like, fuck off. But you got to do it if you want to unlock all the suits, kind of thing. And that's really my issue, is when you're like, well, to get X thing, you need to do annoying Y, kind of thing. And it's just like, I hate when annoying things are part of it for me to get something I want. Mm-hmm. Like make every side stuff worth playing is really what I think should be done more. Like you can still focus on your story, but get another part of the team to focus on your side stuff better.
You know, I think that one of the problems that you run into is verbiage in video games. Like one of the reasons that I think that Hitman works so well is because of the sheer number of things you can do in Hitman.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in Doom, you shoot a gun, right? Or launch a grenade, or use a flamethrower, or like blood punch, right? Like, I mean, you know, your verbs are limited, so there's no stealth section in Doom Eternal, because you would have no verbs to be able to do such a thing. Whereas, you know, I think back to some of the really fun emergent shit that happened in like Metal Gear Solid 5, right?
Yeah.
Where you've got all of these different ways. You've got like melee, and you've got ranged, you've got a variety of different range.
Well, there's whole videos of just like people doing some insane shit in Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
Stuff I never would have even considered.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Even like going back all the way as far as like 3, right?
Yeah.
And like just the number of different things, the number of different tools that you were given that give you the ability to do different things. It's one of the things that I find really strange about the idea of an open world Halo, because it's like, well, Halo's about driving around the Warthog and shooting stuff, and like, who cares if it's open world? Like, what does it matter if it's open world? It could just be a level, or it could be open world. Like, what does it gain by being open world outside of like, you know, hashtag open world TM, the first open world Halo game, you know?
And that's really my issue with the idea of open world Halo. It's like, what do you really get out of an open world Halo?
Yeah.
That Far Cry probably hasn't already done.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And stuff that they did that I find annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that's going to happen with Halo Infinite. I'm going to be in there, and it's going to be like, well, we need you to liberate this area, and then do that like 7 times. I don't really care.
I mean, even for the bitching that I just did about Far Cry has a lot of different verbs. Like they have stealth, they have some different guns with different ranges, the kind of AI partners, calling a bear.
Well, there's ways you can like even come in, kind of thing, like the wingsuits.
Yeah,
in one of the other
or
ones,
like the helicopters that you
planes,
can get stuff. Yeah,
trucks.
So I think
bears.
But then I wonder, because I don't know about you, but I felt like Red Dead and like GTA 5, maybe not GTA 5 as much, but like Red Dead 2, going back and playing it with Jason, it was like, even the main quest just kind of, it was a lot of just like, all right, go here, now sneak past this guy, now shoot everybody, the end.
That's all they were.
Now go here, now shoot everybody, the end. And I think about some of the stuff in GTA where you've got to like steal a thing, steal a car, or like sneak into a place. Or you remember the mission where you're breaking into the FIB building and you're like going down the side of the building, and then you switch over to Franklin to like snipe the guy through the window.
There's a lot of cool stuff in that sequence.
That's a really striking sequence. Or like the bank sequences. I was thinking back the other day, I'm like, I don't think Red Dead Redemption 2 is a bad game, but man, I think Grand Theft Auto 5 is a better game than Red Dead Redemption 2.
I can see that, though, yeah.
I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2, I think maybe has a better story. Or
even then, it takes a turn that just kind of derails everything.
I don't know. Grand Theft Auto 5 just doesn't have a very good ending. Like, that's the only thing about Grand Theft Auto 5 that doesn't work, is that the ending is just like, let's all team up and kill everybody.
Well,
the end.
It depends on the ending you get, too. And that's the good ending, is that one.
Oh.
Because there's 3 endings.
Oh.
There's the kill Michael, kill Trevor, or everybody survives.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
yeah, you have an option for what you need to do.
Okay.
And I did the everybody survives ending, because, that is the ending to that. And it's supposed to be the good ending.
Right.
Kind of thing. But for the most part, compared to the multiple endings in Grand Theft Auto 4, it just wasn't as impactful to me.
Yeah.
Is the thing. Because 4 is very much like, that's like, you're just like, well, fuck.
Well,
by the time you're done.
The difference in 5 would be if, like, one of these 3 has to die. Like, you get to choose, but somebody's going to die. And
somebody
then
has to
split off into one of 3 different directions, which would be an interesting question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, the right answer is obviously Trevor, but, whatever.
That's true. If you had to choose, it would be Trevor.
Yeah. I mean, like...
No ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Yeah. Trevor's not a nice person.
At all.
Like, I think Trevor is funny, but, like, if somebody has to die... It's the fucking meth guy that beat Johnny from The Lost and the Damned to death after fucking his girlfriend at the beginning of his whole fucking story arc.
What a weird thing to do, by the way.
Yeah.
Especially since there's an entire story mode.
Yep.
DLC for that guy, and then you just see him get beaten to death.
Yep.
Very sadly.
Yep. I mean, there's like just so much going on in Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, even the little... It's funny, I haven't thought about Grand Theft Auto 5 in a long time, but like, man, that's such a good game. Like, you remember all the little just like weirdo person side quests that where you just keep running into the... There was like that one really aggressive running lady that you keep running into.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's finally like, was it like she outruns everybody except for like Trevor or something, or Franklin,
something like that. It's been a while since I've done some of those.
And he's got the Juggalo cousin.
Oh yeah,
that's on his side, and like there's all the flying parts with him, the pilot wings, like delivering drugs.
There's a lot of weird shit that goes on in 5. That's just a lot of fun.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And I think Red Dead 2 kind of suffered because it was like, well, there's only so many things you could do with like a horse and a guy, right?
Well, yeah, because the story. It very much has a story it wants to tell. But the issue is that at the end of the day, it still comes down to you're on a horse. You go from A to B, shoot everyone at B, and then run back to A, and then Dutch says, "I have a plan," and then you go back, and then you have to run to C, I guess, on your horse, shoot everyone there, and then Dutch has a plan, and repeat until Dutch goes crazy.
You know what's a good example of good side quests is something like Outer Worlds or like Fallout 3. Or like New Vegas, where even the side content, like all, like maybe the thing about side content is that like if you get to make any choice in like the side content, then it's going to be more impactful because I mean I guess that's what I'm saying about verbiage, right? Is okay.
Yeah.
So here's my answer. The answer to how do you make side quests better is choice. any choice.
Oh, okay.
Any choice about how you go at the side quest, or like at the end of the side quest, you've got a question about whether do you let them live or do you kill everybody. Like anything that makes me feel like I had a hand in the story, as opposed to just, thank you, warrior, here's $20. Like get on out of here. I mean, maybe even like rewarding, like good rewards are always helpful.
Good rewards goes a long way.
It does.
It really does.
There's a lot of repetitive shit in Ghost of Tsushima, and I loved it, even though it was repetitive, because it all made me stronger.
Yeah.
And I would get like a technique point and be like, oh, I got to unlock the ability to kill 3 guys from a standoff, right? That's worth it. That was worth it.
Yeah, there's so many games where the side quest is like, and then they gave me $20.
Right.
It's like, well, cool, I guess, but I have all of the things.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a gun that isn't even all that strong, it'd be like, well, you got, like, maybe this was something I had to do prior to this point, and now I have the gun kind of thing, because at least I know you guys were doing something with it.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that.
I think I'm going to say agency. I think that really is the thing, because it just don't copy and paste your quests.
Yeah,
like,
please
don't do that.
Don't.
Or if you're going to do it, like copy and paste the template and then change it, you know.
Make it fun is really what it comes down to.
Hell, you can even have a grindy side quest that has like an interesting character associated with it.
Yeah.
Where I get it emotionally involved with the character who's just like...
Well, Red Dead 1 had some stuff like that too, and Red Dead 2 had a few like that, like the camera guy that you keep running into.
I mean, I think that Red Dead 1 had like... I think Red Dead 1 was great because it was just like fucking cowboy action, right? And like when you go through it, you start with the sheriff and Armadillo, and when you start with Bill Williamson, and then it's like you do a little bit of farm chores for fucking what's her name, and then you go over to the sheriff and you do some sheriff bullshit, and then it's like from there you're going to keep moving on and keep doing more stuff and hooking up with people. And the cast of characters in Red Dead Redemption 1 is like really memorable.
It's very dense.
Fucking Lando Ricketts and Landon Ricketts and Seth.
And fucking Seth.
And then the fucking who's the tonic guy? Like
I should know his name, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
And
I can hear him saying fucking Mr. Marston in my head too.
Yeah. And like the sleazy revolutionary guy down in Mexico.
Oh, fuck that guy. That's the fucking worst.
Yeah, the Coke professor up in
him and his Native American assistant.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you poor bastard.
Yep. And then like in Red Dead 2, it was like, well, howdy there. I'm looking for dinosaur fossils, and I never found a single.
I found one
dinosaur fossil the entire time.
Somehow,
fuck. It was in part 1. The devil was there. Literal devil.
Well, you can find some stuff from him actually in that game.
Yeah,
the second one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Red Dead Redemption 2 is a bad game. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I kind of want to go back and actually play GTA 5. Oh, no, wait. I'm going to wait for the PlayStation 5 to come out to play it for an 8th time.
Damn.
So, Chels writes in and says, hello, Jeff and Michael. I'm beyond excited to play Ghost of Tsushima when it drops this July because it looks this is a very strange question. Yes, looks so much fun, and partly because I'm stuck in JRPG hell. I started a few JRPGs, but after around 5 to 10 hours, I start to lose interest or just get overwhelmed by how long these games are. I need a good, tight gaming experience that I can start and finish in a reasonable amount of time, 15 to 20 hours or less. Any recommendations? I have a Switch, PS4, and a PC good enough to game on, and that's from Chels. Lots of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess the question is whether you're looking for an RPG that you can finish in 15 to 20 hours.
Is he looking for an RPG or just a game?
It just says game.
Then everything.
Most things.
There's a lot of things, to be honest, but like all the Dooms.
Doom Eternal.
Super Mario Odyssey isn't that long, all things considered.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild is more than that.
Even Mario Rabbids isn't that long.
Yeah, that surprised me.
It.
If you got a PS4, I mean, what do you think? How long was God of War? Was that 20?
It's not that long, to be honest.
About 20?
And that's if you don't do any of the side stuff.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Control. I mean,
Control's it's straightforward. Like a lot of it comes down to how much side stuff are you willing to do sometimes too.
Sure. I mean, honestly, Chels, just go look at the Patreon playthrough list, and I feel like you're going to get a good. It's
you're
like
find some stuff.
Dead Space, BioShock, Prey. Oh well, we didn't do Prey. Prey might actually be longer than 20 hours, but like RE7, you could finish in 20 hours.
Yeah.
RE2, RE3, you do RE3 make in what was it, like 5, 4?
Pretty short actually.
I'm trying to think of
Far Cry 4 is really good.
Yep, Far Cry 4 is really good. Just looking over at my games without my glasses on, I can't see any of them, so that's a problem.
How long is Watch Dogs?
Watch Dogs 2? Well, I would never recommend Watch Dogs 1.
Well, I don't know how long either one of them was.
Watch Dogs 2, I think, ends up around the 15 to 20 hour mark.
That's probably one that you'd pick then.
Yeah. I like Watch Dogs 2. I actually haven't gone back and played that. I'm pretty sure you can get through GTA 5 in 20-ish hours. Maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah, it's actually not that long, if I remember correctly.
But it's nice to switch between the different protagonists. What's so interesting about switching between the different protagonists is the fact they all have like a different house and a different car and they have a different power.
I love that you would see what like there would be some random area
doing something.
I love like you would switch to Trevor and he just like wakes up fucked up in the middle of the desert and you're like, what the fuck?
With no clothes on, you got to go find a house and put clothes on. There's a lot of good stuff out there. I'm trying to think of that Carrion game that just came out is supposed to be like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Not super long.
Super Hot is also really short.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about Mind Control Delete. I think that might have like an endless mode to
I mean, just Super Hot in general.
Oh, the first Super Hot?
Yeah. Because that's on PS4.
Yeah, they have all those out right now.
Gunman Clive. They're really short. It's on Switch.
Okay.
But they're fun. They're these fun little games.
I'm trying to think of anything else. You can play Ape Out on the Switch.
You can play the South Park RPGs. They're actually not that long.
The first one, is like 15 to 20.
It's really
for
short
everything
compared to any other RPG.
Yeah,
you actually probably could just plow through that if you want an RPG as well. That's not that long.
Yep. I think it'll do. I mean, I'm sure at this point, Charles here is playing Ghost of Tsushima, which is like 35 hours.
When was this emailed, by the way?
Let's see. The 9th of June.
Oh, jeez.
I don't like erase them. I just leave them open. So, yeah.
Good for you, buddy.
Yep.
I hope you liked it.
Sean Jackson writes in and says, hello, Jazzy Jeff and suspiciously stupendous Michael. I'm a longtime fan since Loading Bar days. I don't have as much time to watch all of your videos as I used to back in the day, but I enjoy listening to the podcast every week and hearing your charming personality talk about literally anything. Here's my question. Deus Ex Human Revolution is my favorite video game of all time. I played it just the right time in my life to the point of me now having an emotional response whenever I hear that oh-so-sweet soundtrack. Thanks to the quarantine essentially giving me an extended vacation, I finally had a chance to revisit it for the first time in 4 years. After marathoning the game on my old PS3, I immediately jumped into the sequel, Mankind Divided, which I haven't played since initially beating it when it came out in 2016. And a sudden jump in quality between console generations kind of gave me sensory overload. I was genuinely initially overloaded in the first level of how much better everything looked and sounded. Of course, I soon acclimated, but have you ever experienced this sensation when playing through a series of games released before multiple console generations? Thank you for reading my question, and keep churning out the quality content. The world's a better place with you in it. And that's from Sean. Michael, I feel like you would know the answer to this more than I would, because I don't tend to do what this question is asking. Playing like through a franchise from like the crappy version all the way up to the good version, like in a row.
Well, not even just like that. It's like, the thing is, it's 100% true. Like, I'm going to bring up the game that went across so many different things, which is Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Like, you go from Metal Gear 1 to Metal Gear 2, and the jump in quality is bigger. So you got to focus on more stuff, and then you go from Metal Gear 2 to Metal Gear Solid, and then everything else is even bigger.
Sure.
And then you go from Metal Gear Solid 1 to 2, and then you have to deal with the fact that now you have to hide dead bodies. You can trank people. You can train your arms so you can hang on to things longer. And then you go to Metal Gear Solid 3, and then there's even more stuff, and you got to do with your camo stuff. And so you start getting overloaded by each thing that gets added on. And then 4 pulls back maybe a little bit compared to 3 because you don't have to heal broken bones and shit.
Yeah, but you got to listen to good music and look at Playboys to keep your psych meter up.
That's true. But you don't have to do a lot of small things that you have to do in 3. And then from 4 you get to, Peace Walker, and then that's a little bit of a backup. But then you get to 5, and then you're just like, holy shit. There's just so much shit going on. And then every game's like that. Like Halo 1 to 5, like you go from like I don't have a run button kind of thing, and you're just sort of jumping to get somewhere faster, and there's certain things you can't do, like you can't ride a Banshee or sorry, you think you can't ride a ghost or something like that. Like there's certain things you can't do in that game at all. And then 2, it adds dual wielding, and then you have to deal with the fact that some weapons you had aren't there, or there's some that are. And then you go from 2 to 3, and then you got to deal with the fact that some weapons are back, but there's new vehicles. There's just all new enemy types and all this shit. And then you get to 4, and then there's no dual wielding anymore.
See, the thing is that like I've never done this. I don't play like Halo 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then like I've never done that. Like I played back through some of the Metal Gears like in the run up to 5, but like I played like 3 and then 4 and then Peace Walker. Like I played them in like chronological order, and those games aren't super different from each other. There's like like I'm not a big fan of 2. Somebody on the Discord really wants me to play a sequential of 2.
2
and I'm just
is a weird one, guys.
I don't really like 2 all that much.
2 is my least favorite of all the Metal Gears.
I think I still like 2 more than 5, but
well, I mean, from a gameplay sort of view. I guess.
Yeah.
Like 2 is still a complete story,
but like I've never sat down and been like, I'm going to play all the Resident Evils in order. I'm going to play all the Arkham games in order. Like
I've also done that. Yes.
I don't ever do that because I don't devote that much time to one game and playing in order.
Arkham's another good example of that because you're just like, there's so many gadgets that by the time you're done with that game, you're just like. You try going back to Arkham 1, you're like, well, I'll just use the, oh, wait, I don't have that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that your thought process has to change between each game because you're like, well, I'll just use this thing. And then you're like, oh, I don't have that either kind of thing. Or like the same with when you get to Arkham Origins because you're like, I have the shot gloves, but that has none of the other ones.
Yeah.
So you're just like, well, I can't do shocky things, so I can't do any of these things.
Yeah. I don't know. It never struck me as, well, again, the answer to this question is I don't do what you just described, so I don't know. I've never had that experience.
I do it all the time. Like even with the Crash Bandicoot games I played, going through 1 through 3, you also have to deal with the fact that Crash doesn't do everything he does in 3 and 1, or even in 2, for that matter.
I have a solution for that.
Same with Spyro.
You just stop at Crash 1 and not play that, and then play a different game.
Never.
You could just play different games. You could play like Halo 1, and then like Metal Gear 4, and then like Crash Bandicoot 2, and then. Yeah, your brain would have time to like go back and
simulate
stuff.
It's tricky, but like especially if you like a series that has gone on through so many different zones. Like if you decided to play Ratchet and Clank from 1 all the way to now, you would be having such a hard time. Like your brain would have a harder time dealing with some certain things because you're just like shit. This looks so much better, kind of thing. Well, even if you go from Red Dead 1 to 2, it's the same thing because there's so much insane shit in Red Dead 2 compared to Red Dead 1.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I think the only thing that I have that comes close to this is when I was playing Ghost of Tsushima. Did I tell you the story? I found out that at some point I disabled HDR on my 4K TV.
Oh, yeah, you're telling me about that, yeah.
And I was just like, turn on HDR. And it was like, your TV doesn't support it. I'm like, the fuck my TV doesn't support it? I spent $800 on this TV. Like, fucking turn on HDR. And it was like, doesn't support it. And so I literally had to look up how to enable HDR, which is in a really dumb options menu on my TV. And then I turned it on, and then I opened up Ghost of Tsushima, and I was just like, oh, Jesus, it's so beautiful. What the fuck? But like, yeah, that like, because a lot of times we'll record for the dojo and I record at 1080p. So that's what's on my TV. And then I'll finish for the day and I'll unplug the capture box and plug it directly into the TV at 4K. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. Oh, wow. Oh, that's what they're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. On my TV, you have to go to general, and then you have to go to external device manager, and then you have to go to HDMI UHD color, and you can only turn it on for one of the HDMI ports at a time.
So strange.
Stupid fucking Samsung TVs. Totally need another one for my downstairs. But yeah, that's the only time that I've ever really experienced a big kind of culture shock, because it's literally like watching the game that you're playing upgrade. Like, it turns out that I've never actually seen what Doom Eternal looks like in HDR because I fucked it up. I fucked up the setting for it too long ago, and so I'm playing it now. I'm just like, oh wow, this looks way good. So that's kind of the only thing I have to say.
And
about
that's a good point, though. Yeah,
I do remember there was a time like really early on in the HD when HD started to be a thing. And I went to my parents' house for Christmas, and like they wanted to spend time with me or whatever. But it turns out they had purchased an HD TV, which my parents were like very chintzy when I was a kid. Like we could never get anything good.
Okay.
I always had to be like, small TV that looks bad. And then I went there and it was like they had an HD TV and they had like cable, and it was the first time that like I could watch HD on an HD TV.
Oh, okay.
And they were just like, come do family. And I'm like, no. And I told the story for a long time that I was really mad because they were having a Lord of the Rings marathon in HD and I'd never seen it. And then like I went with them to the stupid Biltmore estate instead of watching the Return of the King in HD. And it was years before I got my own HD TV and I could watch it myself. I was like, fuck.
It's fair.
Fucking family wanted to spend time in a dumb old house. I mean, I did have a really good roast beef sandwich, but other than that. All right, we're almost out of time. Well, let's do some Discord questions. I can't remember if we've opened. I don't think that we've answered this before. But Marvel wrote in and said, "Hey Jeff and Mike, taking a gamble on who's on the co-host. Short, easy question for you. What's your favorite opening to movies or TV shows? Keep the great work you guys do. Marvel out."
By opening, what do you think they mean though?
Like title sequence.
Like title sequence?
Yeah. I mean, I would assume.
I don't know. I think it depends on like as the opening of the game or just the title itself. I think Metal Gear Solid 2 has a great fucking opening thing, like the song, the Metal Gear Solid theme, and the montage of cool shit
like
going
the
on.
weird attract screen that it has, right?
Well, it depends on the game because some games have an attract screen. Some of them actually have an intro.
Yeah,
like Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 do.
You're not talking about walking around on the bridge. You're talking about the thing that happens when you boot up the game.
Yeah, the
weird
like,
trailer that it plays before you get to the
like,
title screen.
It's like it's an intro or whatever. Like I think it's great. It's like a really TV bizarre intro. I love that shit. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorite intros is actually the intro to Web of Shadows, the Spider-Man game, because it's that great little sequence of him walking along to the I forget the name of the song, but that's that opera song. The dun 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 dun. I can't remember what it's called. Something Sonata. I can't remember what it's called.
Moonlight Sonata.
It might be. I don't know. There's a lot of but like shit's just exploding around him. It's this like little dark sequence when he's walking through.
I've seen it as a GIF.
Yeah, it's this great little sequence that's like really heartfelt and kind of like it feels a little tragic, and it's a great opening to that game. And then you jump into the actual thing, and I think that's a great little sequence. Same with I think even Edge of Time's opening when it shows him dying or something. It's a lot of cool stuff like that.
Marvel asked us about TV shows and movies.
Oh, yeah, so TV shows and movies. Well, openings also. I didn't know if he was asking about that or not.
I mean, like, I don't know. Most games, I feel like a lot of, even games that I don't like, a lot of times have really good openings because
they do.
It's easy to just kind of do something really stylish to come into the game. I'll tell you what game doesn't have a good opening. That's fucking Fallout 3. There's the baby getting born to Liam Neeson bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
I want to skip over that every fucking time. It's just like, I don't care about the tunnel snakes. Just get me out into the world, man. I do not give a shit.
But yeah, he was asking about movies. Yes. If he's talking about intros, I love Sykes' intro. Sykes' intro is this catchy little theme song that they have that I never skip. The same with BoJack Horseman. I never skip the intro to BoJack Horseman.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. One of my favorite intros to a TV show is the intro to Breaking Bad because it's fucking short.
Oh, yeah.
And I tend to marathon stuff. And so it's like one of the things, man, I got to episode 2 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and it was previously on with a 2-minute recap of the first episode and then like 60 seconds of story and then the 2-minute intro to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And I was just like, guys,
I love the intros to them, by the way.
You have got to fucking stop. I think that happened to me a lot with My Hero Academia.
Yeah, My Hero Academia.
Where it did previously on, and then like something you wanted to see.
Like for 3 seconds.
And then like the whole intro. And I'll say this, man, the intros to My Hero Academia are largely forgettable to me. I mean, they're fine. They're just largely forgettable to me. The only one that I remember is there's one of the outros that's all the girls from the class just like fucking palling around and having fun. And that one was really like memorable for me.
I love all the JoJo intros. One of the reasons I like the JoJo intros is because after I think once part 3 happens, there's the second intro of the part 3 has the singers for all 3 intros singing one song, and then in the fourth part they had all those singers again seeing a theme for the second. I think it's the second or the third intro to Part 4. So it has all of those singers at once, and I think they did the same thing again for Part 5 in the last intro too.
Okay,
it's unique. It's a really unique thing to do, which I think is a lot of fun.
Like, what is the best anime title sequence? Is it Cowboy Bebop?
Cowboy Bebop.
It's
yeah.
Cowboy Bebop.
It'd be Cowboy Bebop.
I mean, I don't know.
People, like Tank is just fucking such a great little intro.
It really is.
It just gets you pumped as fuck.
I was looking through. I think it might have been like Kotaku or something. There was just an article that was like, "Hey, everybody, let's get everything together. All the Cowboy Bebop OSTs are on Spotify now."
Yes.
But what about that Cruel Angels thesis? Like that Evangelion intro is a banger, man.
It is. It's like, really good. Well, the thing is, around that time, there was a lot of really good intros.
Yeah.
Trigun has a fantastic intro.
Oh, yeah.
For one.
Absolutely.
I think even Fooly Cooley has a really unique intro.
Does it have a theme?
If I remember correctly, it did.
I thought it just...
Or I might be thinking of the credits. I might be thinking of the credits, actually.
Yeah.
The credits is really unique because it's them with the scooter that falls over, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't think it has an intro.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I watched Fully Cooley, to be honest.
Yeah.
I might be thinking of the ending for that one. Scryed has a fantastic intro. Was another one that, because all of those came around the same time, and their intros are just fucking rad. Like, I love the Dragon Ball Z intros, but they're nonsensical.
Yeah.
For the most part. Like, I like the Dragon Ball Super intros they did. I think they did 2 of them, which I really liked. The My Hero Academia ones are great. All of the JoJo ones are fun.
The My Hero Academia ones are good. It's just they're, like I said, I feel like they're kind of forgettable because it's like the Fire Force intro is like, that's a good show, but it's just, I don't know, there's just a bunch of guys like flying around doing stuff. And
I think with My Heroes it's because they change so often.
Yeah,
because even in
because there's 2 per season.
Yeah, basically, and even JoJo doesn't have that many opening changes, at least depending on what it is. I think the most changes it does, I think, is in Part 4. It has 3 intros at one point. And I think it has 2 credit changes in Part 3 because it has Walk Like an Egyptian, and then I think The Last Ride Home is the second one. Something like that.
I'm trying to think of movies. Then the only one that comes to mind is Casino Royale.
All the James, there's a lot of great James Bond intros, openings, even in general. I love the Naked Gun intros.
Yeah,
those are a lot of fun.
I actually don't really like many of the Bond ones. I think that's why Casino Royale sticks out to me, is because so much of the time the songs are very slow, and you've got the fucking here's a naked lady falling slowly through a bunch of smoke, whereas the Casino Royale one kind of had like an action sequence. It was a little bit punchier.
I could give that.
By the way, I feel like there was a debate somewhere. I don't know if it was a comment section or Discord or whatever, but like Casino Royale or Skyfall, which one's better? I like Casino Royale personally. I'm a sucker for a.
I think
origin
it's Casino
story.
Royale, to be honest, but that's Casino Royale. I think is just a tighter film, kind of thing. I think Skyfall's great, but I've only seen Skyfall maybe twice.
I watched Casino Royale a lot of times.
Yeah, compared to like the 5 or 6 times I've seen Casino Royale.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean Skyfall isn't a good movie. Hell, it's a great movie.
I'm trying to think. Title sequences from movies tend to wash over me.
They vary, is the thing. For the most part, their intros aren't all that interesting, depending on what it is. Like the Batman intros are the ones that people remember very well. The Superman intros are great, especially Superman 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. Those are a lot of fun ones. The Spider-Man 2 and 3's intros are a lot of fun too.
I don't remember any of these
because they work fairly similar. You
know, the only other intro that I could my stupid brain will pull up is the Wolverine Origins one, where it shows him throughout all the time periods and everything.
That's a fun intro. That's a fun intro.
It's not a good movie, but it was a fun intro.
I love the Mission Impossible openings, but not just the movie ones. It's especially the TV show one.
Yeah,
it's a big fan of the TV show one. Same with Magnum PI has a great fucking opening. As
these are all based on good songs, though.
Yeah, as is Night Court. Night Court is a great opening too.
It's just a good song.
It's true.
The Night Court opening is just a montage of the characters. Like, there's nothing to it.
But that's the thing. They're good openings.
I mean, I like Perfect Strangers as much as the next guy, but the intro is just Larry and Balky getting into fucking shenanigans. There's nothing like happening there.
It's true, but
I guess so if you're talking TV, like so many of the openings.
That's the thing, yeah. When he means openings, I'm like, it's trickier sometimes depending on it.
I think that the title sequence, the only one that comes to mind, even though I skipped it every time, was apparently Game of Thrones changed their titles to go to different places depending on like where the show was going that week.
Oh, okay.
They would have different little fucking papercraft things or whatever spinning up.
See, I never watched Game of Thrones, so the only version of the theme I know is the one from South Park. when they're just saying wiener over and over again.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if...
also, South Park's intros were really good. They changed a lot over the years.
I always like the fact that the Rick and Morty intro has like some stuff that happens during the show and then some stuff that doesn't happen during the show.
Never ever happens.
And over the course of the season, you get to find out which of these were actually things, which led to a huge disappointment last season when it turns out that Untitled Goose Game was not crossed over with Rick and Morty.
The two-headed goose.
The two-headed goose.
Yeah, that was slightly disappointing.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of TV shows I don't give a shit about. Anyway,
Samurai Jack's intro is also really good.
Judicator Prime says, "Hey Jeff and Michael, so my sister-in-law just had twins, and they are pretty cute. Most newborns look like little aliens, but these babies look like actual little humans." That's really creepy mental image.
I don't know what you mean by that. Do they have suits?
So my question is this.
They're boss babies, aren't they?
How do you feel about babies in general? Do you think they're a curse upon the land to be avoided at all costs? Do you find them marginally tolerable, or can they actually make you smile? I would normally take the stance that babies and small children should be avoided, but since being introduced to my newest niece and nephew and interacting with their toddler big sister, I'm beginning to think that they may not be all that bad.
That's how they get you, by the way.
Yeah.
That's not a joke.
Your fucking siblings have kids, and you're just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, because when I was growing up, I was like, kids are stupid. And then I met my niece and that I hoped to raise for a long time, and I started being like, kids are kind of cool, which is the reason why when The Last of Us ending happens, I'm the one who's just like, shoot everybody as fast as you can, because that's how I felt at that exact moment.
Sure.
I relayed my emotions the same way I relayed my connection to my niece, and the same even now with my other niece and my other nephew and my nephew that from my brother kind of thing, and even my other nieces. Is like before I was like, kids are dumb, but once you actually are around kids and but you're also not the parent, is the thing. That's usually why you end up liking kids more. I'm sure if I was the actual parent, it wouldn't be the same thing. But yeah, I think kids are great. I myself would like to have my own kids eventually, but that's neither here nor there. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a tricky one.
I have a very complicated relationship. In that I don't ever want to watch a movie, play a game, or see a TV show that has to do with children, because I feel like too often they are used as emotional shorthand to fuck with you.
It's true.
And I find that to be contemptuous and obvious, and like, I don't want to watch that fucking dude's little sister starved to death in Grave with Fireflies ever the fuck again, because like, yeah, I cried, but I didn't feel good about it. I was like, you didn't earn this shit. You showed me a suffering child for 2 hours, and I was like, well, I'm a fucking human, all right?
Well, they do the same thing with animals too.
It will piss me off. However, in real life, I think children are delightful. They're great, and I like them, and they like me. I like them because I remember what it was like to be a kid and how it was like to just be like, wee! Because, I'm a 40-year-old man baby, and they like me because I don't condescend to them.
Oh, okay.
And I will listen to what they have to say when they're like, my cousin has these two kids, and he's a boy and a girl, and the boy is just fucking smart as shit, and the girl is adorable. And my cousin's wife, I don't know, they got their own kind of thing. Like, they kind of split off from the family to do their own thing, but they kind of came back in when they had kids, because my aunt really wants to have a relationship with her grandchildren.
Okay. And
I've never met them before, but when I went up last, I guess it was in Christmas time, I finally got to meet them. And, like, the boy, they were playing with these toys that were the toys that I played with when we went to Grandma's house. So Grandma had a bunch of toys for her grandchildren to play with. And then, eventually my grandparents passed away. They packed all those toys up, and my cousin and his wife got these toys. They were the toys that I used to play with him when we were both children.
Oh, okay.
And so they like dumped him out. I went in there and I was like, hey, nice to meet you. And then we sat down to spend a few minutes with him before I left. And I was like, oh, I remember this. And he's like, no, these are my toys. And I'm like, actually, these were my toys when I was your age, because I'm the firstborn I'm older than your dad. And when I was your age, these were only my toys. And then I had to start sharing them with your dad. And he was just like, what? I was just blowing this kid's mind. He was like, what does this one do? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's part of this one. This one and this one go together and it makes a little road. And he was like, this guy's a fucking wizard. And I was like, yeah, man, I know how toys work. And I still, like, I think that when children become teenagers, that's where I start to get a little weird because
it's difficult.
There's a point, and I was the exact same way, where teenagers get to this place where they think they know enough to think they know it,
yeah,
and they become dangerous because they become shitty about what they know, and like, it's going to be like this forever, so you go away, old man. And I'm just like, I feel like everyone should just do the same thing to teenagers, which is the Grandpa Simpson thing about like, I used to be with it, but then when it was changed.
And it got scary.
Yeah, it'll happen to you.
Yeah, my niece is almost 13 now. Like, I think she's 11 right now. Something like that. No, she's 12. Mm-hmm. And so she turns 13. So she's going to be a teen soon. And I'm like, I don't know half the shit you're saying to me anymore.
Yep.
They're just like slang. And I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about. But she'll bring up Pokemon or Digimon. I'm okay. I can have a conversation with you again.
You know, I enjoy finding out what the kids are into. Like, I mean, I haven't, I don't know any tweens, but if I did, it'd just be like, okay, kid, why do you like this TikTok? Tell me about why you like the TikTok.
Tell me about the talkers.
And honestly, I feel like I already know. TikTok is just YouTube in 8-minute increments, right?
Well, it's just Vine.
Or Vines,
Somebody
right?
invented Vine again.
So, whatever. But fuck.
But slang keeps popping up, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like tea came up recently.
Yeah, spill that tea.
Like, spill the tea, and I'm like, I don't know what they're saying.
I know what they're saying.
It took me a while to find out what they were saying.
Yeah,
I was like, that's dumb.
I still don't know what on fleek means.
When Ratchet first came up,
oh yeah,
that was the thing that was because I'm a giant nerd, and so they're like, yeah, she's really Ratchet. I'm like, she's a Transformer. Like, was my first thought every single time.
Yes, Michael, we're using Transformer slang now.
Yeah, it was either that or Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank. I'm like, it's like none of these two things match what you're saying, so I don't understand.
I'll tell you what though, you might be on the precipice. How old are you again?
I'm 30.
You're 30? Okay.
Yeah.
Goddamn, we're far apart in age.
We are. We discovered that mostly when we were playing that game in the 90s.
Yeah.
You're like, how old are you at this point? It's like, I was 5. And you're like, fuck.
I graduated high school. So here's the thing. And I want to say this to all the listeners because this is a thing that nobody warned me about, right? Like, that you've heard it before, right? Where they're like, markets things to people between the ages of like 18 and 30.
No.
And that is where pop culture is built for you. They are trying to get you person listening to this money. And what was so weird is when I hit about 35, I started to look around and I was like, nobody cares where my money goes anymore because I feel like marketers know that like once you hit 35, then you start like making sandwiches and like not buying every streaming service and like, becoming a little bit more frugal, or like maybe you got a kid, or maybe you're just getting older and you're like, I should probably have money in a savings account for some reason.
Yeah.
But like, there's this weird moment where you look around and you're like, because you're used to it, right? Like by the time you get to the age to be a consumer, that's 18, that's where they start. And nobody ever prepares you for the fact that there's a point where the world stops giving a shit what you buy. So the things are being marketed and you're like, I'm not even interested in that. And the answer is like, yes, that's right, because we are trying to get 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
We don't give a fuck about you anymore. And so you're like, what is this? This isn't a movie for me. And it's like, yes, that's right. This movie is for 25-year-olds and you're 40. So it's not for you anymore. We don't give a shit what you like or don't like. And it was a very weird thing when I started to see that happen. And I was just like, okay, right.
There's even kind of a point like that even for some people my age now when they come out with cartoons for like clearly for kids. And people are like, why do the Ninja Turtles look like that? And you're just like, because you're 30 and no one cares what you think anymore. It's like, that's not what this is about anymore. You know that, right?
It starts there, but it gets strangely different. It's interesting because I've had to make my peace with it over the course of my time doing Rage, Select, and Spill with video games.
Yeah.
Like Fortnite is not for me. MOBAs aren't for me. Like adversarial online games aren't for me really as much anymore. Like they make no allowances for my bad reflexes. And the strategy games out there that you can play multiplayer for people that are fucking super into that.
Yeah.
So you start to get to a point where you're like, oh, I'll just play whatever comes out. And then you're like, I don't want to play Fortnite. And it's like, right, it's also the biggest game in the entire world. So like, if you don't want to play it, just fucking, like, bye, Felicia. Like, we don't give a shit if you're here.
That's kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because, even I'm like, I don't really care about Fortnite. It's like, well, too fucking bad.
Yeah.
It's like all your younger cousin people or nephews and stuff love this shit. It's like, oh, cool, I guess.
And then you start to go into the further ages of the old where you're just like, oh, right. Like, these children, like there are people. Okay, Michael, you realize, right, that there's like, let's see if we can do the mental math on this. There's like, what? Teenagers, like 18-year-olds who do not know, have never known what a VCR is.
Yes.
Like never touched one.
They've never heard
seen one.
The term VHS.
They never had to tape a show off of TV. They didn't have a giant, like there was a whole set of technology that was created, flourished, died, and was buried, that there are now people that are conscious enough to have a full-on conversation with who never knew it. They've never seen a pager in their entire life. And it's just like, for 5 years, my pager was a fucking thing. Like, oh, shit. He texted me, he paged me with 911. I got to give this guy, does anybody have a quarter? I need to call this guy back, right? Like, pre-cell phones. So all I'm saying is that I find it fascinating because then people are like, the good old days. And I'm like, no, I remember them. I remember them. Nobody had a phone. There was no internet. You had to rent VHS tapes and rewind them lest you were like charged $1 when you brought it back.
It's ridiculous, though.
You had to carry around physical cash money to make phone calls on like a payphone that a bunch of strangers had put their ear up to.
And you hoped you remembered the number you needed to call.
You had to carry around a little piece of paper with everybody's phone number written on it. And sometimes, and like when you wanted to go somewhere, like if you wanted to meet at a restaurant that you hadn't been to before, somebody had to tell you how to get there. Like you couldn't just look up the fucking, the restaurant in South Austin on you didn't have a map of Austin.
You would have a map of Austin, but it didn't have like, this is where this store is.
Right. Or like
you had to be like, okay, if it's off this street, then I have to go here.
Right.
And eventually, and you had to remember where you were, or you had to remember the landmarks of the area that you knew. So if someone was like, well, it's off of Lamar past the McDonald's, you'd be like, okay, that's right here. So that means I've gone too far if I get this far, kind of thing. Like you had to like guess that shit.
And it wasn't even GPS coordinates. Your friends would be like, hey, you got to meet me at this new bar up by my house. And you'd be like, oh, fuck. And like, okay, you know where I live, right? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay, so start where I live and go like towards Guadalupe. And they're like, okay. And then like the fourth left and be like, okay, wait, I got to write this down. Hold on.
Yeah.
And like, okay, then there's a red mailbox. If you see the red mailbox, you've gone too far. You got to turn right before the red mailbox. And so then you're fucking, like, it used to be a thing where you had to drive around for 20 minutes to find out where the fuck you were supposed to go. And you went too far. And then you got to stop at a payphone to call your friend, page them, to call back a payphone and be like, dude, I can't find this place. Where the fuck is it?
My favorite thing is that, like, a lot of people also think that immediately after that was when you had all of the GPS. No, there's a gap in between that.
Yeah.
Where, like, I remember this very well because I was like 19 when this happened.
To buy a Garmin GPS.
You had to have a Garmin GPS, or you went to MapQuest.
Yep.
And you were like,
and wrote down what was on MapQuest.
Where's the Dunkin' Donuts? And it's like, okay, you got to go this way, and like you find a printer to print it out. I never made it to that Dunkin' Donuts. Because me and my friend were like, let's go to Dunkin' Donuts. Because Dunkin' Donuts didn't exist in Del Rio anymore, so we wanted to try it again. We never made it because we got lost so fast.
Can I tell you that, like, when I was a kid, one of the things we used to take road trips from here to my grandma's house in Ohio. And, like, one year my grandmother had AAA. And AAA used to have a service where they would custom print, like, directions from one state to another in a little flip book that you could go through. And it would show each, like, 30-mile stretch of road with like a highlighter that some human highlighted how to get through these intersections. And before that, it was like, I mean, okay, before GPS, Michael, tell me, how do you get from Austin to Houston? Like, you had to know.
My dad just knew where to go.
Yeah. My dad knows how to do the interchange in Memphis because he had to drive it so many times over the course of his life. And he's like, all right, you want to pretend like you're going to 45, but that you're going to peel off on exit 25, and you're going to take a right at the Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm like, okay, I need to write this down.
Yeah, my dad would drive from Del Rio to Oklahoma City because it's where my brother was living when he was stationed in the Air Force. Way before we had GPS was anything we owned. He just knew the exact roads to go.
You had to own a fucking atlas.
He just knew where he was going.
And, like, God forbid you had to know how to do something. If it wasn't YouTube. Like, I know how to repair half of my air conditioning because YouTube just has a million things.
Damn.
The past sucks. The past sucked. That's what I'm saying.
Shitty.
Is that that's what I'm saying is that eventually you'll feel like the world passed you by, and for me, I'm like, oh, thank God, because I don't want to hang on to VHS tapes and slap bracelets and fucking road atlases. That shit was bad.
Yeah, you had to have 2 VHSs for Titanic. Kind of thing. Like, that's the thing people forget. Hell, even when DVDs first happened, I think you had to have 2 DVDs for Titanic.
There were early DVDs where you had to turn them over.
There still are.
I mean, fuck's sake. Like, that's all I'm saying is, like, don't worship the past.
Don't.
And babies are cool. Because
babies are great.
They're never gonna have to learn how to rewind a tape, and they shouldn't have to.
They're gonna fuse with your DVDs.
Yeah.
They'll become Laserdisc 5.
Let the children do what they want. Let them do what their crazy thing is. You won't understand it, but that's fine.
Yes.
That's fine.
We kind of went on a tangent on that one.
Yeah. Let's do one more. We got a really short one that may become a long one. Professor Fett wrote in and said, hello, Jeff and Michael. I'm considering adopting a dog from a shelter, and I'm curious about your dealings with pet adoption. I'm personally concerned with getting a dog who can't deal with kids or messes in the house. I've only gone through breeders. Is adopting from a rescue worth it?
I've never had to deal with it.
Yeah, I can't really answer this question because Archer was he was somebody else's dog that got free and was wandering around in South Austin, and my friends found him, and they tried to get in touch with the owner, and I got him. And I brought him home, and then I found out he had chip, and I called the owner like 4 or 5 times, and the guy just didn't seem to want his dog back. So, in fact, there was a whole thing where like I was going to give it to his ex-girlfriend. I was going to hand my dog over to this guy's ex-girlfriend, and then she got in a car accident the day I was supposed to do that. She didn't show up, and I like literally had all his shit in a bag, and I cried, and I was like, oh, you were a good boy. You know, I'd had him for like 3 months. Because after 3 months, I took him to the vet, and they found out he had chip.
Oh, okay.
And then I called the guy, and I was just like, hey, I got your dog. And then he just, like, then I tried calling him, and he would never pick up the phone. And I was like, well, I did my duty. Your dog is my dog now.
Like, yeah, I tried.
Like, I would have fucking driven without MapQuest across the country to get my fucking dog back. I don't know what your problem is. My friends that have had rescue dogs, it's like, I think it kind of depends on the breed, on how big the dog is, and like kind of if the dog has temperamental issues.
Always ask the people as many questions as you can about something like that.
Yes,
because they tend to be actually pretty truthful. Because if they're not, they are the ones who get fucked over more than the dog does, kind of thing. Because then you have to deal with the dog again. There's also a lot of times you'll see a dog and you have a pretty good idea of their temperament from the get-go sometimes.
Yes.
There's some dogs like right away that you're going to be like, okay, that dog's fucking crazy kind of thing.
And, you know, scared dogs sometimes can become aggressive. Dogs, when they get scared, can sometimes become aggressive. A lot of it is just going to depend on working with a dog. My friends have a black lab that was a rescue that would not let any man touch her for like 5 years.
Okay.
And then finally, you know, I used to know that dog. We were good friends. We didn't pet the dog. But like at first, my friend and her husband, like the husband couldn't walk this dog because it would just growl and bark at him. I am a big fan of pit bulls. I'm one of those guys now because my dog is a fucking sweetheart and he's very well behaved. And I don't know if that was from like, I don't honestly know what happened to him before I got him, but he's always been very demure, very like well behaved. I've met a lot of pit bulls that seem fairly well behaved, but you have to be willing to take a strong hand with a pit bull. Like if you don't want to be like the quote unquote master, I feel like you're going to need to look for a dog that is smart.
You have to be careful. Yeah, you have to. That's the other thing. You also have to look into the way that a dog is naturally known how to act.
Yes.
Like for instance, if you're like, I want a husky, you'll have to know full well that thing's going to need all of the fucking exercise in the world.
Yes.
Kind of things. Like you need to understand that the dog you get has to match the way your lifestyle is, either currently or just in general. Yeah. Because like for instance, like if you're just the guy who's just like, I play games all day every day, don't get a dog that's super energetic. Yeah, that's fucked up. Not just for you, but for the dog. Like that dog is gonna hate you and be very anxious at all times. Yep. Kind of thing. But if you're a super active guy, don't get a pug because that's a terrible idea. Yeah. Kind of thing. Like a Labrador is always the perfect midpoint. Kind of thing, because a lab is like super chill, but also super active if it wants to be, or if you want it to be, for that matter. Like I've never had to deal with this because every dog I've ever owned, has basically just sort of shown up, kind of thing. Like I owned a German Shepherd because a German Shepherd puppy showed up on in my 2-acre piece of land one day and didn't want to leave, and it was mine.
Okay,
that's how I got a German Shepherd. That's how I got a bunch of other dogs. A bunch of other dogs just showed up, and they're like, "Here's the dog." I'm like, "Cool. I guess he's staying."
I guess the German Shepherd will take care of the rest of you.
Yeah, and the other dogs my parents got, like, the Labrador my mom got. My dad got 2 blue healers at one point.
Wow. Did you live on like the fucking other side of like Dog Farm Island or something?
There was one point where we had like 8 dogs on this 2-acre chunk of land.
Wow.
Like it was like a gang of dogs.
A pack?
It was like no, I mean like they might as well have been a gang.
Oh, they were like leather jackets.
Like if other dogs came in, like they would be like, "We'll fuck you up," kind of thing.
Sure.
If you come here, kind of thing.
Like like Isle of Dogs.
And then eventually, we either got rid of some of them or some of them just sort of wandered off, kind of thing.
Okay.
In fact, the one of the blue healers, it had puppies who my brother owns now, and my current dog is the great grandson of a dog my brother had when I was in 6th grade.
Okay.
Because we bought these 2 full-blooded dachshunds. I had one. I kept the one. My brother kept the other one. I had the male. And he had the female. The male died hanging out with a gang of dogs.
Goodness gracious.
This is a real thing, by the way.
Holy shit.
Like he wandered off with this gang of dogs and we didn't see him again until somebody was like, "Well, we saw him somewhere," and I was like, "Well, okay, he's gone now." And then, but with her, she ended up having puppies, and that puppy had a puppy, and that puppy had a puppy, and that puppy was my dog.
Okay.
Kind of thing. But I took care of the great grandmother before she passed, because she was like 17 or something by the time she passed, kind of thing. And she was a big old chunky dachshund. So I never had to worry about that sort of thing. Like whenever I got a dog, it just sort of appeared.
It's like dogs just apparated into your life, and then they just had dogs.
Yes,
and you're like,
exactly.
Do I want any of these? Well, sure, I'll take some of these dogs.
That's literally what happened for the most part. Like most of our dogs are related in some way to something else, and so my dog is this little Maltese dachshund, maybe another mix in there somewhere.
Yeah,
kind of thing. And his sister is Amanda's dog.
Yes.
And so Amanda's dog is the great-great-granddaughter of my dog I had.
I don't know. I think I will
so I never had to deal with it.
I will probably only, from this point forward, intellectually, I can't really, my brain doesn't really understand what it's going to be like when my dog someday leaves me for the next realms, because this is my dog and I've had this dog like for almost a decade now. But I think that if when I get another dog, I think it's going to be pit bulls down the line for me, because they always need people to adopt pit bulls. And I think that pit bulls, I don't know. He's got pit bull blood in him and I don't know how much. But it seems to me like pit bulls do very well if you were stern and commanding with them.
They get a bad rap. A lot of the same with Rottweilers.
Yeah.
They get a bad rap.
That if you do that, they're real sweethearts and they'll just fucking do whatever you want them to, right? But if you don't, then they'll fucking run you. Then they're in charge. Yeah. So I'm a really big fan of the concept of like, I am in charge and you are my dog. And
also, if you feel like you don't have time for something like that,
get a cat.
Either that or look into the idea of a dog trainer.
Yeah,
because dog trainers are also very good, but they cost more the older the dog is, because it's one of those things where it's harder to teach the dog, especially if it's a bigger dog. Like if you look up dog trainers, they outright say is like, well, we'll give you an estimate, but we have to see what the dog is, how old the dog is, and its temperament currently, and then we'll tell you how much it'll probably be.
There's actually there was a service that I heard about a long time ago. I think it was here in Austin, where all they did was take like older pit bulls and then like rehabilitate them and then like teach them. They would train them like on everything. And then it was like, would you like an old dog that comes pre-installed with all the upgrades, like that will walk and knows how to walk and sit and like fetch and do all the tricks, and like, but it is an old pit bull and that needs to go somewhere.
That's kind of nice.
And I've always wanted to have just like a big farm full of old pit bulls, just like retirement home for pit bulls.
Yeah, there's a dog academy nearby here, as well as somewhere else that I've considered looking into, but now I'm just like, I don't even care anymore.
And that is our show for this week. We finally got questions, Michael.
Yes.
Finally did the questions.
Finally.
So, send them in to mail@rageselect.com and check out more from Michael at where?
You can find me on oneofus.net.
There you go.
We have plenty of reviews, as well as other little random shows that they'll probably put on Twitch that I may appear here and there, kind of thing.
Well, there you go. And with that, we're going to go ahead and we're done. We're done. We're done. That's it. We're done.